thank you for joining us for another council meeting in the city of North Miami. The meeting is called to order. Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Estimate Irvin.
Here.
Vice Mayor Keys. Councilman Desilme.
Here.
Councilman Galvin.
Here.
Mayor Bieneme.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum to proceed.
Thank you very much. And now let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance by Officer Jean-Pierre Calderon, followed by the invocation with Pastor Eddie Lenoir from Westview Baptist Church.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you now for this privilege to be able to come, to be able to recognize that we're here, to be seen and not viewed. We thank you for this city. We pray that you would cover its leadership and all that comprise of making our city great. We ask that your presence will be with us, shield us, cover us, and guide us. In the most holy and righteous name we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And now we have a special presentation, Keeping Current, Repetitive Loss Properties presentation by Van Allen Institute. Please come forward.
Hi, Councilwoman.
How do I share the presentation? Oh, okay, great. Okay, hi everybody. Thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to present to you today. I will try and make it brief, as has been the request. I'm Jessica Lax, Director of Strategic Initiatives at Van Allen Institute. We are a 125-year-old nonprofit based in New York City that looks to improve cities through design. And we've been working on a series of climate adaptive work. Oh, sorry. Thank you. And so we've been working on a series of climate adaptive work throughout the country for the last almost decade. One project being Rebuild by Design, which looked to address storm events in the Northeast, resulted in $1 billion in HUD funding to implement some of those ideas, as well as a project in Louisiana looking at the Mississippi Delta and rerouting the river and helping the city come up with a master plan. We have a new project that we've been working on for the last 4 years in Miami called Keeping Current, which looks to develop implementable and replicable solutions to sea level rise through the lens of economy, ecology, and equity. The project's funded by the Rockefeller Foundation, the Knight Foundation, Kresge Foundation, Miami Foundation, Target, and Terra Group. It kicked off with a convening of Miami University, FIU, FAU, and the University of Florida. We have a project with the City of Miami redesigning Jose Marti Park for climate adaptation. But we're here today to talk about a project we have with you all called Repetitive Loss Properties, looking at repetitive loss sites in North Miami. So repetitive loss properties are essentially sites that are repetitively flooding. They're FEMA designated sites. They increase insurance costs for residents as well as for the city. And also if enough insurance claims have been made there, it's difficult to build, or you're not allowed to build, essentially. And so we came to the city and asked them if there was a project they wanted to do around climate adaptation, and you have a pretty amazing group of folks working in the city, and they suggested a project around repetitive loss properties to be sort of a spearheading group thinking about being proactive, solving for this issue. In 2005, a long time ago, 15 years ago, FEMA came out with a report saying there was over 2,000 of these types of sites in the Miami-Dade region. So you can just imagine how many more of them there are now. So very grateful to be working on this with you all and being the first ones to be thinking about a strategy for this. And basically what we're doing is creating a master plan as well as a pilot project on 901 Northeast 144th Street. So for folks that are not familiar, located here. What we're mainly trying to do with this project is figure out a way to reduce the insurance costs, so CRS points, increasing them. We want to create a community use. Right now it's just a vacant lot. And we want to make this something that is replicable and scalable so you can address this with other repetitive loss properties you might have. We've done a lot of community engagement events. We actually had one last night on the site. Thank you to Councilmember Galvin for joining. We've also had Councilmember Irvin join for our other community engagement events and planned one of her own on August 4th. We've had about, I want to say, 6 or 7 community engagement events at this point, as well as 2 surveys that we've done with the community. And we're going to have some folks talk about that more. Before I turn it over to talk about community engagement, and then we'll talk a little bit about the designs, I just wanted to explain a little bit our role in all of this, which is facilitating this project in general, and also the resources for the project, financial resources, which is about $80,000 in dollars, is coming from Van Allen and from our funders. And so this isn't a project that's funded by the city, although the city has been very gracious in providing in-kind services and resources. And so that, I'm going to turn it over to Irvonne.
Hello, Council. I'm actually very excited to be here. Actually, I spent a lot of time in North Miami.
Can you say your name on record, please?
My grandparents went to several of the Haitian churches here, and I have a lot of family friends here, so I'm actually very excited.
Can you say your name on record, please?
My name is Irvonne Augustine. I'm co-founder of Urban Impact Lab. We're a Miami-based firm that uses creative community engagement to help transform public spaces. So as Jessica mentioned, like, we are working on the community engagement as part of this project. As part of the work that we do, we believe that every resident should have the opportunity to help shape their community. And working with Van Allen on this Keeping Current project, this kind of helps bring this project to life. And being able to be the local strategic community engagement partner has been amazing. So for like the last few months, we focused directly on engaging the community in and around the lot. We've had, we've done a lot. We've done a lot of direct door-to-door engagement. We facilitated 6 public events with over 250 residents. We've conducted 2 surveys, one of which is still currently active. We've coordinated and worked with a 6-member public outreach team on the ground. And through all of that, we've collected lots of feedback, and the project, the feedback from the residents has helped shape the winning project and design, which you will hear about shortly. Some of the things that the residents were saying that what they were interested in is that they would love to see the space remain green and open and natural. They did not want to see any fences, but they also wanted to see the space open and accessible. And Isaac from the Department Design will tell you a little bit more about the design itself. But what I basically want to say is that the design that you will see reflects not just the city's priorities, but also the residents' needs and their interests.
Hello, my name is Isaac Stein. Thank you for having us. I'm the co-founder of Department Design Office. We were the firm that was selected to build this pilot project and develop a master plan for the city of North Miami following an international design competition. Oops, wrong way. Here you can see the whole design team. I myself am standing in for everyone else. Andrew Akar, who's a local architect who grew up in Miami. Adler Guerrier is a Haitian American who grew up just outside of North Miami in unincorporated Dade, as well as with my partner Maggie Sang, who at Department Design Office. Just for your reference here, this white plus is the location of the pilot project that we're developing. And here, this is a 1870s land survey of the exact same region. So this is before any development in the area. And as you can see that the site is right in the middle of an old river basin of the Everglades. This is why this site is repetitive loss properties, because of its history. And there are on record around 70 repetitive loss sites in the city now, and many of those lie within areas that were once a river or Everglades outfall. One of our key objectives for this pilot project is to highlight and make visible the relationship between elevation, stormwater management, and the risk of flood to communities at large. hidden by, typically stormwater infrastructure like this photo is hidden by layers of veils and fencing. And one of our key initiatives is to bring this back to the forefront, to engage with the community so they're aware of the stormwater that affects their community and how they can work to adapt and to deal with these issues. Here you see a proposal of the pilot project that we're going to implement at 144th Street by the end of the year. We have an opening dated for December 15th, and we invite you to come. This stormwater park has two main objectives. First and foremost, which is to increase the capacity of this site to hold stormwater, hereby protecting the neighbors, the immediate neighbors, from flood events. And second is to do so in a way that creates a visible and engaging community space that raises awareness to the natural ecology through both public art and native planting and a path. So during the winter, during the rainy season, the river, the basin might have a water level of this, and during the dry season, it might have a basin that looks like this. And these day-to-day changes are part of what we hope to engage with the community to understand the complexity and relationship between the property that they live on and the ground beneath them. The park consists of a central basin that is around half the size of the park that helps protect the neighboring houses from being flooded, as well as being surrounded by a bioswale that filters the water that comes into the site from the neighbors and allows for a path for the community to engage to both with native planting and the site itself. The planting was selectively chosen to look back into the historic planting that existed in the city of North Miami and the site, particularly with low coastal hammocks, marsh prairies, and Everglades slough as you walk along the path with tags allowing individuals to realize what plantings fit at what elevation. This planting is also carefully chosen to buffer the basin from direct contact with the residents, with the basin itself being planted year-round and having sort of an ecological approach to protecting the embankment from erosion and from engagement with the direct engagement with the community. Furthermore, we're working with Adler Guerrier to develop artwork throughout the site that has elevation markers and signage talking about the native planting and the historic ecology of the site as a way for the community to engage with both what is at the site presently, how the site changes day to day with rain and with tides, as well as what the site once was, and help them understand the relationship between the water table, their home, and future risk that might occur. So we've been working closely with Van Allen and the city to solve safety, maintenance, and accessibility concerns with the project, working with ecologists and officials from within the city and throughout the county and out through the nation. We have incorporated design details that allow this park to be an oasis for community members with minimal maintenance. And ultimately, we are very excited and grateful for the opportunity provided from you all and from Van Allen Institute and Urban Impact Lab to transform a vacant space into a stormwater park that reduces flooding for local neighbors, as well as creates a space for respite. And I think it's important to note that this site is just one of 70 sites that exist now. And if you implement 3 of these sites, your CRS rating will go up and flood insurance rates will go down. If you implement 30 of them, they will continue to go up. And if you implement all 70, flood insurance rates for the entire city could go down as much as 20%. Once, just to note again that the opening for the park is December 15th, and this park is due to limited funding and a quick timeline is somewhat in 2 phases, with the first phase being the stormwater protection measures, accessible pathways, and basic planting to create a safe environment, with a second phase that will include lighting, a shade pavilion, and additional tree plantings. We are currently looking for additional fundings to help make this public space more successful, and we would love to discuss opportunities in the coming weeks. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Councilwoman Estimate, this is your district. Do you have any comment?
No, thank you so much for your presentation. I just want to know, I know that it's going to be completed by December 15. When are you actually going to start implementing the designs?
So we're actively working to get permits from the regulatory relationships in the county and pursuing contractors, but the early November, late October would be what we're shooting for in that frame. But again, as I mentioned, it's right now there's grading and basic park design. We have fundings for that, but if we were able to allocate different fundraisers from institutions or individuals around the city, construction might extend for a second phase beyond December 15th.
Okay, so altogether, how long do you think it'll take? So once you have the permitting, the time frame that it'll take to complete the entire project in its entirety?
It depends, but I'd say the heavy earthwork, like when there's a tractor there, would be very minimal with like a 2 to 3 week window.
Okay.
So it's not, and it's like only one tiny tractor. It's not like big commotion going on in the site.
Okay.
But planting of the trees, which is just, like a truck dropping off trees, that might extend a couple of weeks after that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
I have a quick one, if I might.
Go ahead.
A fantastic project. I was very impressed by what I saw when I was out there last night. Mr. Mayor, through you to staff, this is one location. How many other potential locations does the city own across the city where something like this might be done?
He just said.
Okay, I must have missed it. I'm sorry.
He said 70. 70 is in the city or throughout the county. Okay, good.
I think your question was how many do we own?
Yes.
The city,
We
correct.
only own 2. So this is one of the 2 that are being proposed for the pilot.
Do we own any other vacant lots that are not being considered for this that might be considered, or are we just going to do 2 and be done?
There's just one more that could be considered for that type of adaptive reuse.
Okay. And does the city own any other open lots that we might use for things like affordable housing?
Yes. So there is a site right now that's being considered for affordable housing.
How many of
Within
those-
the central city.
How many of those approximately do we own?
There's about 3 on the books that could be available for affordable housing. One that's actively being engaged right now.
Okay. And this project here is going to cost approximately, did I see $80,000, 80?
Yes, that's the budget from Van Allen.
Here's what I'm getting at. This is great, thumbs up. If we just do it once and then move on, shame on us. So I'm looking to figure out in my head how many other sites we have to do this at, potentially, and potentially what it would cost to do there. From what I'm hearing, we have one other, and it would be an additional $80,000 if the city wanted to fund it itself.
And the one other is in a repetitive loss area. The other 3 that I mentioned before, those are not within that concentrated flood-prone area.
Okay, the affordable housing potential locations are
Correct.
just open lots. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for.
What is the location of the other one?
I just want to say one thing just for clarity's sake, is that this project cost $80,000, but the amount of service that we as a whole and the design team, and we're basically leveraging a lot of donations, and we're actively donating. The cost was probably realistically double that if it was just a typical city project with like bid servicing. So I just wanted to not mislead you with some numbers.
Thank you very much. Do you have the other location?
We don't have the address here, but we could get that to you, Mr. Mayor.
It's not Fifth Avenue, no?
No, it wasn't on Fifth Avenue. It's
Okay.
within the central city area,
Okay.
within the Arch Creek Basin as well.
Okay. Thank you very much. No other question. Let's move on to the next presentation. Let's go downstairs, please.
Mayor, for the record, Vice Mayor Keys is present as of 7:01 p.m.
Thank you very much.
They got started on time today.
For the past 6 years, the city of North Miami has had the pleasure of hosting Hispanic Heritage Month celebration by showcasing the history, culture, and contributions of Latin American in our community. In honor of the 2019 Hispanic Heritage Month, Vice Mayor Carol Keys and Councilwoman Marie Estime Irvin will present the art unveiling and proclamation to the Cuban artist Margarita Cano. Please come forward.
First, I would like to thank everybody for coming to this evening to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month with us. I also want to thank Pinecrest Bakery and Mimo's Mozzarella for sponsoring and catering the delicious reception you've had this evening. And I also want to thank our committee, who most. We have a big committee that has been working. We work all year on many events, and we want to recognize Hispanic Heritage Month. So I want to thank everybody for taking their time. Rosa Henriquez, Chief Juriga, our co-chair, and our librarian, Lucia Gonzalez. Rosa Henriquez are our chairs. So I want to thank them. They've really put in a lot of time and effort on this to make it a really nice event. Each year, Americans observe National Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15th to October 15th by celebrating the histories, cultures, and contributions of American citizens whose ancestors come from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central and South America. The observation started in 1968 as Hispanic Heritage Week under President Lyndon B. Johnson and was expanded by President Ronald Reagan in 1988 to cover a 30-day period starting on September 15th and ending in October 15th. Tonight, in honor of 2019 Hispanic Heritage Month, we present Cuban artist Margarita Cano, with a proclamation and unveil one of her pieces of art which she so graciously allowed us to exhibit during this month, and you'll be able to appreciate on the walls in the lobby outside the council chamber. I also want to mention our artist, Ms. Cano, has been involved with our original Mocha and Coca for many, many years ago, more than 30 years. She's been with us for more than 30 years, so she is a local North Miami artist. And I'm going to ask, I've got I'm going to let my co-chair, Councilwoman Irvin, read this.
Sure. So this proclamation is presented to Margarita Cano. Whereas Margarita Cano was born February 27th, 1932 in Havana, Cuba, whereas Ms. Cavano arrived from Cuba in Miami, Florida with her family in 1962. She has two children, Isabela Hernandez and Pablo Cano. And whereas Margarita's painting depicts biblical and art historical illusions, transforming memories into magic that reflects her Cuban roots and personal vision of Cuba, she documents this quest for democracy and freedom through metaphors. And whereas in 1963, Margarita started working at Miami-Dade public libraries and main libraries in downtown Miami, Florida, where she became the director of community relations and art services. And whereas Margarita created the Art Mobile, an alternative art exhibition space on wheels, which began the first permanent art collection of the Miami-Dade Public Library System, whereas Margarita selected solo exhibition including 1993 Dreaming Cuba Galleries of Coral Gables, Florida, 1998 Vision and Definition, Cultural Resources Center, Miami, Florida, in 2003 The Sending Exile, in 2005, and there's a lot more. So whereas Margarita has received many awards for her artistic talent, which include 1980 John Cotton Donna Award, 1992 Dade County School Board Award for the Development of Art Mobile, Who's Who in America Arts 19 edition 2005, and a whole lot more. Margarita Cano was selected as a featured artist for 2019 Hispanic Heritage Month art unveiling here tonight. Her exhibition will be on display in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month until October 31st, 2019. Now, therefore, in consideration for foregoing, I am not Mayor Philip Bien-Aimé, but Philip Mayor Bien-Aimé, Vice Mayor Carol Keys, Scott Galvin, Councilwoman Mary Esme Irvin, Councilman Alex Dezume, and on behalf of all the residents, do thereby proclaim Tuesday, September 24th, 2019, to be Margarita Cano's Day in the city of North Miami, and urge all residents to join us in in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month.
All my life, I observed Mom draw, paint, and create. At first, there were Spanish icons. Then came the American primitive, inspired portraits of me and my sister. For a while, Mom painted still lives of flowers, and then one day she began painting large, abstract compositions on canvas. I loved seeing her create and evolve. Like the cycles in art, she would eventually return to the figure, which, with her photography and love of Byzantine icons. I don't know how she could find the time. For me, it is like lifting the curtain to a magical world of art and creative process. These days, my mom continues to paint and write her words of wisdom books sitting by the side of her bed. One day, she wrote something that made me want to pin it on the wall of my art studio. Justify your ideas only to yourself, for it's only you that must be totally satisfied. Always be free. Thank you, Mom, for always creating art, bringing us to freedom, and inspiring so many others. Thank you.
On behalf of the Hispanic Heritage Committee, we have a small present for her from South America.
The last presentation is by the Chief of Police, Larry Juriga. It's Life-Saving Award to Officer Jean-Pierre Calderon.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. At this time, I'd like to ask our staff from the police department to join me up here. Additionally, I'd like to invite Chief Sean Hemingway, and I'm proud to introduce my friend and our neighbor to the east from Bay Harbor Islands. He's also the district director for the Florida Police Chiefs Association, Chief Sean Hemingway.
I have to move this down about 10 inches, so bear with me. Good afternoon. My name is Chief Sean Hemingway. Like Chief Juriga said, I'm with the Bay Harbor Islands Police Department, and I also represent the Florida Police Chiefs. I'm the district director from Key West to basically Miramar. And tonight it's my honor to bring up Officer Calderon. Tonight, this life-saving award is designed to recognize police officers for exceptional life-saving acts that take place and places their lives in danger. As you know, police officers put their lives in the line of danger each and every day they serve and protect their communities. Police officers also save lives, and we are here today to honor an officer who did that, Officer Jean-Pierre Calderon with the North Miami Police Department. At this time, I'd like to ask Officer Calderon to please come forward. Do you have family?
No.
Okay, thank you. Chief. All right. On March 4th, 2018, Officer Calderon was working an off-duty detail at the Publix supermarket located at the Northeast 6th Avenue when he was approached by a customer advising that female was in distress. She was crying hysterically, and Officer Calderon quickly dove into action. He hopped into his police car driving through the parking lot in an attempt to locate this frantic female. His investigation led him to a crowd gathered around a vehicle in the underground parking garage of an adjacent apartment complex. Officer Calderon encountered a critically injured male who was covered with blood in the back seat of a vehicle. He noticed that the male was losing consciousness, bleeding profusely, and had severe lacerations to his wrists and arms. Officer Calderon immediately took action, advising over his police radio of his location and the situation. He requested emergency medical assistance from Miami-Dade Fire Rescue, and additional backup officers started to respond. A large crowd was also gathering. Officer Calderon attempted to calm this hysterical crowd while also reassuring the victim without hesitation that he was there to save his life. Officer Calderon retrieved his SWAT-issued tourniquet and began to apply life-saving treatment to the male. As a result, Officer Calderon managed to suppress the bleeding by stabilizing the male prior to the arrival of the Miami-Dade Fire Rescue. The victim was subsequently rushed to the hospital by Miami-Dade Fire Rescue and survived. Further investigation revealed that this individual was attempting to get out of the shower. As he was bracing himself, he fell against a mirror, putting his hand through the mirror and severely lacerating his wrist, causing a near-fatal bleed. Officer Calderon kept his composure and displayed exceptional life-saving skills under stressful circumstances, risking his life in the process without hesitation. Because of Officer Calderon's life-saving efforts and risking his own life, the Florida Chiefs Police Association is honored to award Officer Jean-Pierre Calderon with the 2018 Lifesaver Award. Congratulations, sir. And if I could just say one or two other remarks, you know, being in Florida Chiefs and being in Tallahassee frequently, this is not the first time this agency has been represented by us, issuing many awards, many brave acts, and you know, it starts with the leadership of the mayor, the city manager, and of course their great police chief Larry Juriga, and I can say by no uncertain terms. And I can say by no uncertain terms, being new to Dade, maybe 7 years new to Dade now, coming into this is by far a premier police department, recently accredited, and we are certainly proud to be their neighbors to the east. So well done to your police department, well done to your leadership. Thank you.
Yes, I would just like to say that it's been an honor to serve on our department's SWAT team over the years, and overall, it was a huge blessing when I was told that this gentleman survived his injuries that day. So, thank you very much.
City events.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, North Miami neighbors, and guests. I'm Unicia Baker. I'm the Senior Public Information Officer, and I'm here to share some of our city's upcoming outreach events, programs, and initiatives with you. The Museum of Contemporary Art North Miami is pleased to launch the fall season with the unveiling of the South Florida Cultural Consortium exhibition. This exhibition is made possible in cooperation with the Miami-Dade County Department of Cultural Affairs. This group exhibition presents work by artists exclusively from South Florida who live and work in Broward, Martin Monroe, Palm Beach, and Miami-Dade counties. May the force be with you when National Night Out returns to North Miami on Tuesday, October 1st with the Star Wars theme. Join with local Jedi from the North Miami Police Department. Meet your neighbors and unite as a community at this family-friendly annual event, which offers free food, bounce houses, entertainment, and more. Be sure to wear your best Star Wars costume. The festivities begin at 5:30 outside of the North Miami Police Department. Hispanic Heritage Month is here. Wednesday, October 2nd at 3 p.m., kids are invited to Mocha at the library for a series of arts and crafts activities commemorating the month. Also, on Wednesday, October 2nd at 6 p.m., the NOMI Library invites you to a special book signing, lecture, and meet and greet with author Rose Hedgeman, which features her book, Father-Daughter Dance, A Night on the Red Carpet, which is an inspirational story about a young girl who learns how to cope with a difficult situation and experiences self-discovery. Signed copies will be available for purchase. The Hispanic Heritage Month celebration continues Thursday, October 10th at 3 p.m. with the return of the popular Teens Can Cook program at the North Miami Public Library. NOMI Library teens will get a chance to cook and taste traditional meals from Latin countries with Chef Dario. It's free and open to teens ages 13 to 18. Space is very limited, so RSVP today by calling 305-891-5535. If you're a North Miami water utility customer, please note that all in-person utility billing customer service needs are now being handled exclusively at the new City of North Miami Customer Service Center. Such services include new account creations, account reactivations, account closures, customer inquiries, payments, and sewer credit application submissions. The CSC is located right across the street. The address is 811 Northeast 125th Street. Be sure to have all required documents before visiting. NOMI Water Utility customers should also note that the city now has a new and improved online utility bill payment system. It's located on our e-services portal at northmiamifl.gov/utility bill. The new system has no minimum payment amounts, no convenience fees, and online delinquent account reactivation services are available. For more information about these important utility billing customer service notices, please call 305-895-9330. Stay up to date with the latest happenings in our city by visiting www.northmiamifl.gov and click on the Connect with NOMI icon on the homepage, where you can sign up to receive our monthly NOMI newsletter. Residents may also like the City of North Miami on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. This concludes this evening's announcements.
Thank you very much. Do you have any project updates? Any hurricane preparedness update? Any update on hurricanes? No?
Nope.
Thank you very much. Mr. City Manager, do we have any addition, deletion, or amendment to the agenda before we move forward?
No, we do not, sir.
It's going to
continue as is.
As it is. Okay, thank you very much. Can I hear a motion on the consent?
So
Tab
moved.
A to C.
I would like for tab C to be removed for discussion. Possible.
Tab C for discussion. Can I hear a motion on tab A and B?
So moved on A and B.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve the consent agenda, tabs A and B. The motion was seconded by Councilman Desilme. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes with a 5-0 vote.
Tab C.
Tab C, proposed resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, adopting a revised classification and pay plan for classified and unclassified employees of the city for the 2019-2020 fiscal year, providing for an effective date and all other purposes.
Do you have a presentation?
Yes, my name is Paola Pierre, Assistant Personnel Director. We're here for the approval of the classification and pay plan supplemental. Mayor and Council, we're proposing the city manager had approved a 2% effective 2% COLA effective October 1st, 2019 as a cost of living. This item is to match the IUPA PBA blue collar and white IUPA blue and white collar agreement that they have for 3 years. So therefore, the 2% will be a match for everyone to be at the same 2% COLA for the year 2019-2020. If you have any question, please let me know, and then I can go over the numbers with you. And then we also have there 2 new positions, and then one was adjusted, assistant to the finance director, replacing administrative assistant, because that person was getting a 2% cost of a 2.5% job basis when she was transferred to the finance department. It wasn't removed, but to align with the assistant positions that we have, and then the 2.5 job basis. So therefore, we had to change it to the position to assistant to the finance director. We also have the senior management analyst, replacing management analyst position that we have, and this is due to increase in responsibility for this position.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, through you to the manager, I asked because I wanted some clarification as far as the I guess the compensation provision for some of those, because I see some are. So what's the 5% base? Because I know you talk about the 2% COLA, and then some. I guess some is based on the job description, because some get 10% and
No,
those
are just the normal steps that are in those pay classifications.
Okay, my next question is, when do we go for, I guess, renegotiation with
next year?
Okay, all right. I think that's basically it. So it's the 2% plus the 5%.
Well, the 5% are already built into the pay plan. Naturally.
So it's a total of 7. Okay.
Yeah, and then the 2% was negotiated in the contract.
The contract.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And then the item also went in front of the personnel board on September 16th. They were approved as well.
Okay.
Move approval.
What are the
sorry.
just a quick question?
Yes, sir.
The 2 new positions are what?
Assistant to the finance director. This is not a new position. It's just we're replacing it with the administrative coordinator. And the other one is a senior management analyst, replacing management analyst.
For what department?
This is from the city manager's office, the senior management analyst. This person has been in the position since 2016, though. It just a title change.
Thank you very much. Let's open it to the public. Public hearing is open on tab C.
Jim Garrett, 11610 North Bayshore Drive, Unit 1A, North Miami, Florida, 33181. Alex, at the last meeting, you made a point about the percentages on how much it was out of a budget. It is pretty high. If you go to the International City Management Association, for the size of a city that we are, which is between 50,000 to 999, the range is between 40% and 46% of a total general fund budget. Oak Park is 43%. I lived in Oak Park, Illinois. Oak Park had 52,950 citizens. The city I lived in last before I came here was Falls Church, Virginia. We was our own city and county. In Virginia, it's different. It's kind of weird. We had our own courts, our own taxes. For a small city of 10,175, we had two stops on the metro rail, on the metro system. I talked to, remember Scott? We had our own library, which was well-funded in ours. In our city, now the taxes were high. It was $10.11 per 100. So the taxes were high, but we got good services, so I didn't complain about that. I didn't even attend a council meeting in Fall Church. But you know what the labor cost at Fall Church was? 41.3% of the total fund budget. And we had a court system, a tax appraiser, we had everything, including a school system. So we need to get our house in order. We need to get below an operating metric. In higher ed, my metric is 40%. That's the highest. And right now, I have a career college, and it's at 36.8%. We need to get our house in order. If we don't, guess what? The governor will come in here. It will be a financial emergency. They will take us over, and there will be 5 Republicans up here dictating our terms. And I don't think we want that. Thank you.
Public hearing is still open on the item.
Jessica Austin, 1140 Northwest 125 Street. Good evening. I want to know, is this increase going to throw the budget that you just passed off? And additionally, I noticed that these rate increases are all in the manager's office, if I understood it correctly. And I don't know if my understanding is correct, but a lot of the problems came out of the manager's office as to why we are in this, have a budget crisis of $8.4 million in the hole. So I don't feel that the budget manager's office should be rewarded for poor performance. That's my opinion.
Thank you very much, Public hearing is still. Please, thank you, please. What you clap? Public hearing is still open on the item. Tab C is open to the public. It's now closed.
Mr. Mayor, one quick question before we vote. Mr. Manager, explain to me the out of classification pay, section F, the second one, the one about the department head and yourself. If you out 3 consecutive workday, the next person in line is 10%.
Yes, the next person in charge. But for the deputy, we don't get this because it's just like the second person in command. If it's like a lower position.
So for the department heads.
Yes,
okay.
yes, yes.
No, what is? Go ahead and explain it to me.
1 second, sir.
Okay.
I get you the exact rating.
It says when department heads are absent for a period of 3 days,
Yes.
3 consecutive work days, the next employee in line shall be appropriate department head and be compensated at 10% above. Okay, that's just their pay, not extra.
That's working out of class.
Oh, based on,
Yes.
okay. All right, thank you. I got it. Okay, thank you, Mr.
Do we have any question? Okay, no. Can I motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Do you have any question, Councilman?
No, I do not.
Thank you very much.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve the item at tab C. The motion was seconded by Vice Mayor Keys. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The item passes with a 5-0 vote. Tab D, proposed resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the city manager and city attorney to negotiate and execute a professional services agreement between the city of North Miami and Ross Engineering, Inc., to provide professional engineering services for completion of risk and resilience assessments and development of emergency response plans in an amount not to exceed $149,470, pursuant to request for qualifications number 08-17-18, continuing architectural and engineering services, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes. Tab D.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Alberto Estrada, Purchasing Director. The item that you have before you under tab D is staff's recommendation for your approval of a contract with the consulting firm Ross Engineering Incorporated to develop a risk and resilience assessment emergency response plan for the city as required by the Federal Environmental Protection Agency for a not-to-exceed fee of $149,470. As reflected in the council report, Ross Engineering is one of the firms that was approved by this council at its February 12, 2019 meeting to be included in the city's list of pre-qualified consulting firms and was the top-ranked firm in its category of water resources and stormwater engineering services. As a result, staff has requested a proposal from Ross Engineering to assist the city in ensuring compliance with the federal regulatory requirements which were enacted into law in October of last year by means of the America's Water Infrastructure Act. This section of the law requires all community water systems which serve more than 3,300 persons, such as ours, to develop risk and resilience assessment and emergency response plans. In addition, the law identifies certain components of risk assessment and emergency response plans which must be addressed, and also establishes deadlines by which each system must certify completion of these assessment and plans to the federal EPA. With me tonight is Mr. Robert Ross and Mr. Ricardo Maristani on behalf of Ross Engineering, and they're going to provide a brief overview for the benefit of the council and also the audience members of the work that is required under this federal law.
Yes, good evening. I'm Robert Ross with Ross Engineering. This is Ricardo Maristani. We're here tonight because there are new requirements for drinking water, and the city of North Miami falls in the category Tier 2, which is 70,000 residents are getting water from your water plant. So you have what's known as a deadline for your risk and resilience assessment for December 31st of 2020, where certification has to be sent into the feds for the Environmental Protection Agency. And then that's followed up by your emergency response plan, which is due 6 months later on June 30th of 2021. So if you look up on your screen, you can see where we fall in. The city of North Miami falls right in the middle column as far as how many people are getting water, and therefore what your deadlines are to the EPA. Our job is to work closely with Whistler and his staff. We're all certified, including Whistler, with AWWA for this risk assessment and emergency response plans.
The act requires utilities
Can you
to...
can you say your name?
Ricardo Maristani.
Okay.
The act requires the utility to look at its system and look at different components, that's what this slide is showing here, system components to be considered, and pair them along with required risk and resilient assessment considerations as what they call is an asset threat pair. And what we'll do is we will follow the guidelines from the AWIA, the America's Water Infrastructure Act, and use the different AWWA standards that have already been published to be used specifically for this. And it comes up with a matrix for the city to better understand how to plan moving forward, as well as in terms of incorporating that plan into the capital investments, into the capital infrastructure, and as well as how to handle it during an emergency response.
All set. Thank you very much. And now let's open it to the public. Public hearing is open on the item. Public hearing on tab D. Public hearing is now closed. Question on the dais.
Move approval.
Second.
Do you have any question? Madam Clerk.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve the item at tab D. The motion was seconded by Vice Mayor Keys. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The item passes with a 5-0 vote. Tab E, proposed resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, authorizing the city manager to execute a professional services agreement in substantially the attached form between the City of North Miami and Risk Management Associates, Inc., doing business as Public Risk Insurance Advisors, to provide the city with a public official and employment practices liability insurance coverage at a cost not to exceed $79,540, providing for an effective date and all other purposes.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I'm Karen Muir, Risk Management Director, and this item was procured through a request for proposal. In May 2019, we went out to bid for agent of record and brokerage services, and on July the 9th, 2019, it was awarded to Public Risk Insurance Advisors for brokerage services. So Public Risk Insurance Advisors went out to bid, and they actually approached 9 carriers, and the incumbent carrier, who is Ace American Chubb, responded, and they offered two options for renewal of this coverage: public officials and employment practices liability. The first option was for a $100,000 retention at $79,540, and this is an aggregate coverage of $2 million. The second option was for a $150,000 retention at a premium of $72,359 per year. Now, Risk Management did a cost-benefit analysis, and we took into consideration the last 3 years of our claims activity. And although the $150,000 retention seems to be better, in looking at it visually, it actually is not the most cost-effective. When we did the cost-benefit analysis, 19% savings can be realized at the $100,000 retention, as opposed to only a 9% savings over the long run if we went with the $150,000 SIR. So we're respectfully requesting that you approve the option 1 to procure this coverage for public officials and employment practices liability from 10/1/19 to 10/1/20 for option 1, $79,540 per year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public hearing is open on the item. Tab E is open to the public. Tab E is now closed. Council members.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Any question? No. Madam Clerk.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve the item at tab E. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Estimate Irvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The item passes with a 5-0 vote.
Tab F.
Tab F, proposed resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, approving the execution of a professional services agreement in substantially the attached form between the City of North Miami and Brown & Brown of Florida, Inc., doing business as T.R. Jones and Company, for the provision of excess workers' compensation insurance coverage at a cost not to exceed $162,945, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes. Tab F.
This item is for the procurement of excess workers' compensation and employment practices liability. And again, we went out to bid in May 2019, and on July the 9th, 2019, the Mayor and Council approved and adopted T.R. Jones and Company, doing business as Brown & Brown of Florida, as the agent of record for procuring this coverage. So they went on to market and they approached 18 carriers. And the incumbent carrier, Pidgeot, Preferred Governmental Insurance Trust, they came back and offered a rate of $162,945 annually at a 4.35% increase over the expiring coverage, which was through them. And the reason for this increase is just general standard payroll increase, as well as a 1% carrier rate increase. And this is covering statutory coverage for coverage A on workers' compensation and employer's liability, $1 million at a self-insured retention of $500,000. And If you have additional questions, I have the broker of record here with me tonight, Tom Jones and Kathy Nicotra.
Thank you very much. Let's open tab F to the public. Public hearing is open on tab F. Public hearing is now closed. Member of the council.
Move approval.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve the item at tab F. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Estimate Irvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The item passes with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you very much. Please think. Oh. Tab G.
All right, just as a matter of housekeeping, we have speaker cards located at the back, and I just want to thank some of the residents for who already completed them. Please be sure to fill one out for each item. There are 3 cards. One is completely blank. It's all white. There's another one that is in favor of, which is blue, and then there's one that's clearly against, which is the red one. So please fill out the card that you feel pertains to you, and it needs to be one for each item. So, for example, I have one that was just returned to me. 2 items are marked there. That's not going to work. Please just do one for each item to facilitate when
Thank you very
we
much. Can I have them,
proceed.
please? And do you have any for tab G? Yes, thank you.
If I may, Mayor.
Yes. That's tab H. I have those here. Tab H.
Okay, so
Yes, go
if I
ahead.
may, Mayor, this is the first time that you all are sitting as the zoning appeals board.
No, no. We're not there yet. We are G.
We did, we flipped, oh, we're
That's
doing it
another
all.
item.
Got
Yeah.
it, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Tab G, and that's it. Tab H. I'm not gonna take one card for 2. No. Okay. Okay. No, you. Okay. Thank you very much. Presentation on tab G.
Tab G, proposed quasi-judicial resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving the site plan for
Excuse me, just say quick before. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
for a proposed mixed-use development on the 1.95-acre real property generally located at 950 Northeast 124th Street and specifically identified with Miami-Dade County folio number 06-2230-040-00020. In accordance with Article 2, Division 7, Section 2-701, and Article 3, Division 2, Section 3-204 through Section 3-206, and Article 3, Division 3, Section 3-302 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances, Chapter 29, entitled Land Development Regulations, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes.
Thank you. For the record, Tanya Wilson with Community Planning and Development Department. This resolution is a request for site plan approval for the property located at 950 Northeast 124th Street. The mayor and council may recall this item was heard back in March as a condition use permit for the allocation of 175 residential units for a mixed-use project. But the code does require that the site plan associated with that development be reviewed by the board at a subsequent meeting, so the request before you is for approval for that site plan. I'm going to walk the board through, and also for the members of the public, an overview of the project itself, so familiarize you with the request that you're hearing this evening. So again, the location is 950 Northeast 124th Street. It's currently a vacant site. The size is approximately 1.95 acres. It's zoned public use with a land use of community facility. It's also located within the neighborhood overlay district, which allows for mixed use on the site. The density within the neighborhood redevelopment overlay district allows for 91 units per acre. In terms of the proposal, it's anticipated as 175 elderly housing units with 5 levels of garage parking. They're anticipated to have 224 parking spaces as a part of the project. The residential portions include up to 6 stories above retail that's consisting of 31,053 square feet in size. The ground level is anticipated to have both retail, office, and restaurant uses. There's quite a bit of landscaping that's contemplated within the site proposal itself, and I know the architect is here and will walk you through with additional detail in his presentation. There's also a 35 feet wide linear promenade that's anticipated as a part of the site itself to allow for that pedestrian activity on the ground level for seating areas. There's also an activation with public art that's contemplated as a part of this mixed-use project. In the way of affordable housing, 15% of the units will be set aside for affordable housing as a part of the proposed project. Looking at the economic impact, there is an economic impact analysis that was done as a part of the project. It's anticipated to create 239 short-term construction jobs. In terms of the impact fees, we're anticipating 1.7 million in the way of impact fees from the generation of this project. There are also 99 direct and indirect full-time jobs that are anticipated annually. In the way of ad valorem taxes, we're anticipating over 890,000 in annual ad valorem taxes to be added to the tax base based on the construction of this project. There's also 160,000 in total sales taxes that's anticipated. In terms of the impact itself, in terms of the housing stock, we know that over 70% of North Miami's housing stock is at least 50 years old. So this will introduce new residential units that's needed within the periphery of the city's downtown to allow for additional retail activity and retail demand. So we know that this is a significant impact, not just from an economic standpoint, but even in terms of creation of affordable housing and new residential housing that's needed within the downtown district itself. So the site plan was reviewed by the Development Review Committee, and it's deemed to be in compliance with the city's land development regulations. In terms of the remaining portions, the public art piece will still be required to be reviewed before the Art Selection Committee. And if approved tonight, the applicant will be able to move forward with requesting building permits. Those building permits would have to be obtained with at least within the next 18 months for the project to be viable. And again, there's a restrictive covenant that's contemplated to allow for restriction for folks that are 55 years and older. I do know that the agent and architect are here and they wish to make a presentation at this time.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, City Manager, City Attorney, and Clerk. My name is John Della Gloria, offices at 1065 Northeast 125th Street. You all know that this item has been before you on many occasions, in addition to the 5 public hearings we had, or the 5 public meetings we had with the neighbors. And this evening, along with myself, we have the developers, Mr. Mo Yagubi and Mr. Marcelo Tenenbaum. Mr. Marcus Frankel will be making a presentation, a brief presentation. And we also have the landscape architect, Mr. Barry Miller, and Mr. Joaquin Vargas, our traffic consultant. So if there are questions, we have everybody here available. As far as this being a quasi-judicial hearing, I would make as part of the record the staff report, which recommends approval, and any other documentation or boards that we're presenting this evening. Very quickly, as I say, we've had many meetings in front of the public and here, and what the plans have been shown to affect the concerns of the public. Originally, there were going to be entrances into the garage from 123rd, 10th Avenue, and 124th Street. Those have been eliminated. Only 124th Street will be ingress and egress to the project. One of the last concerns that the public had when we had our conditional use approval was there was a public area which was going to be on 123rd Street, and many members of the public were opposed to that. They thought it might be a place where people might congregate, and so that has been eliminated. And nothing on 123rd Street is going to be an entranceway or any public area. As I say, we've been here many times. Hopefully the next time we see you will be at the groundbreaking. And right now I'll turn it over to Mr. Frankel to put you through, or just a short presentation. As I say, I know you have many people here on a rather large item. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And congratulations to the new councilwoman, Mary Estemi Irvin, and Mayor. Congratulations. Marcus Frankel of Frankel Benayoun Architects. I'm here with my associate project manager, Gladys Risco. My partner's doing another presentation in another city tonight. Ifat Benayoun is her name. We also have a terrific team that John mentioned. We have our landscape architect, Barry Miller of Savino and Miller. Extraordinary landscape architects, have done very significant public projects throughout all the cities in South Florida, including North Miami, including your walkway system from, I believe, 6th to 10th Avenues on 125th Street, and many other notable projects around South Florida. And we have Joaquin Vargas of TrafTech, who's also our traffic consultant as well as our parking consultant. I'm very proud of our developer team. They've completely committed to this project. 3.5 years it's been going on. We've gone through many changes. As John mentioned, there was a development program has been evolved significantly and changed over the 3.5 years. We had a lot of helpful input from your city planners, from Tanya Wilson Sejour, Debbie Love, Derek Cook, who was in charge of the DRC process, Amanda Murray. Back in the earlier days, it was Nixon, LeBron, and we just had a lot of great input. And then we had a lot of good input from even the city consultants, such as Kittleson, who handled your traffic and parking consulting. And then, of course, there's the neighbors. The neighborhood of south of on 123rd, south, east, and west. We had many meetings with them. We learned a lot from them. We made a lot of changes from them. As John mentioned, the only access to the site for vehicles is on 124th, so you can come down 10th Avenue or 9th Avenue to get to our site on 124th, and then exit on 125th, not impacting the neighborhood. The parking garage is another item. It's completely concealed and cocooned, so to speak, by buildings around it, which are the residential buildings I'm going to show you in a moment, and then also landscape parkways between the garage structure and the residential buildings. Essentially, we are committed to 4 primary goals and objectives that shape this design. First one, of course, is a model facility for mixed-use housing, affordable, 100% affordable. 175 units are all affordable, and they're beautiful, but that's for you to determine. And of that 175, 15% are affordable workforce as defined by your ordinance. We have studios, 19% of them are studios, that's 34 units. 24% are 1-bedroom, 1-baths, 41 units, and 57% are 2-bedroom, 2-baths. In addition, we have an important balance of amenities and neighborhood functions, such as about 9,000 square feet of retail, which will include a cafe on 124th Street, 11,350 square feet of professional office, which we believe will be primarily medical as it relates to Villa Maria Nursing Home across the street and the St. Catherine Hospital. Not an ALF, but just medical offices. We're shooting for those types of tenants. And then there is the freestanding garage, which is 5 stories, as I mentioned, totally screened and cocooned. Slide? Okay. What's the matter? Go to the first one.
Where's IT, please? Oh.
First one, the landscape. Okay, well, there's your site, which you see is 124th, 123rd on 10th Avenue, surrounded by fantastic oak trees and mahogany trees. To the right is Villa Maria Nursing, and to the left, a block and a half away, is your City Hall and your Cultural Arts District, MoCA. The next image, which is very important and one of our important objectives, is the trees. This site is magnificent. I'm sure you've all walked it and driven around it, but we have 16 oak trees on the perimeter, all either in the right-of-way or and on our property. We're keeping them all, 16 on this. There's, I don't know, 3 or 4 on 10th Avenue, 12, I believe, on 123rd, and 3, I'm overcounting, maybe 9, 10, and then 3 on 124th Street. So in effect, you're going to have a development which is mixed-use housing in a park. I mean, that's really the most beautiful aspect of this project. The third item that's important to us is that it is a mixed-use facility, totally compliant with all your codes, and you're changing codes. This started 3 years ago, but we had the NRO that came first, and then modifications to the NRO, and then your LDRs came, and we complied with every single one, in addition to all the county issues, the handicap ADA code, and then the neighborhood mandates, which we spoke of, and I'm going to show them to you in a moment. And then the fourth item is that we mean and are enhancing, beautifying the right-of-ways, all 3 streets, so that they become really great public spaces for pedestrians, for gatherings, for events, perhaps, and connections. These right-of-ways, 123rd, 10th Avenue, 124th, will be the connections to all aspects of this building and to the neighborhood. Okay, that is a quick image right now that shows the building from an aerial view. If you were on an airplane or a bird flying, you would see that up, and that's the only way you'll see all the buildings, because if you're on the ground, whether in a car or a pedestrian, the trees block the buildings. But that shows you the total comprehensive campus there. 123rd at the bottom of the page, 124th at the top, 10th Avenue on the right side, and then there's a 5-story garage which has a recreation center on top of it, which adds to the greenery of the buildings. The next, please. This is how you would see the 3-story building on 123rd. We actually took 2 trees out. Those are the existing trees, so that you could see the building. But it's basically, the trees are 45 to 60 feet tall. The building is 32 foot tall. On the ground level, on the left side, is residential courtyard units, and on the right side of that building is some professional office space. This image is walking down the promenade. The neighbors wanted to see a great promenade, as we do, on 123rd. So from the building to the curb, it's literally 54 foot 6 inches of greenery, which is meandering walkways, lots of oak trees on the right side, which are not in this image, and then a whole lot of other great indigenous and tropical landscaping up near to the building. And that terminates at the corner of 10th Avenue, and right across the street from there is a visual connection to the promenade, which is like this on Villa Maria Nursing Home property. So if you walk to the next corner, please. You walk to this corner. This is the corner of 123rd and 10th, and on the left side is the promenade. And as you cross the street, you'll have a similar beautiful promenade that goes further to the east along Villa Maria. This is the view along 10th Avenue and 124th. The largest building is on 124th. It's 7 stories, 6 levels of residential units, actually 96 units in that building, 38 units in the building on 10th Avenue, and 41 units on the 123rd Street, the south building. But this image takes you to 124th around the corner, and then we have another image which shows you the character that we'd like to achieve there of the pedestrian ways, the gathering spaces, the cafe restaurant that we were trying to get on the corner of 124th. And then all along 124th will be about 4 or 5 different kinds of retail services and goods and services. The last, now we're going to quickly show you the plans which you've already seen, but you see at the bottom of the page is 123rd. I think the most significant thing about this slide is if you look at all the greenery around the buildings, it's totally surrounding the buildings on 123rd, 10th Avenue, and 124th. Okay, in the middle is the garage, and on the middle of 124th is the only vehicular access into that garage, coming and going. We have no parking on 123rd except one service space. We have 6 parallel spaces on 10th Avenue in the right-of-ways if you want to keep those parking. And we have 6 more on 124th Street, plus another service space and a sheltered bus stop. The next slide shows you the character of the 3 buildings that surround that garage. Again, the 3-story on 123rd, the 6-story on 10th Avenue, and the 7-story on 124th. Surrounded by greenery around the buildings as well as around the garage. This image, the next image, is the 4th floor. So you see that's the rooftop of the 3-story building on 123rd. And then the 4th floor, all the buildings connect via open walkways at the upper levels and at the ground level. And they also connect to the garage with direct access. And the next slide is the 5th level. This is very important because that is our recreation center and our green roof system on top of the garage. It's about 11,000 square feet, and it has on the right side of it a fitness gym, an outdoor trellised area that could be for yoga, and a deck for yoga or any other activities. And then in the middle, a little park, which can also be a playground for the kids that may live here or the visitors. Remember, this is seniors, but it's 55 and older. And 55 seems to be getting younger every year. But so you will have children visiting and maybe even living, and then, or grandchildren, of course. And then to the left side of that pool is a recreation pool terrace with a spa and a good-sized 60-foot swimming pool. The last image is the 7th floor of the north building, and you can see all the buildings look down upon that recreation center at their upper floor levels. And that is the actual roofs of all 3 buildings, again looking down on the rooftop of the recreation center. The last slide, I believe, there's a section here that shows you vertically how the buildings stack up. On the right side is 124th. Retail at the bottom, 6 levels of apartments above. It's cutting right through the garage, and you see the recreation center on top of the garage, and then it cuts through the 3-story building, backing up to 123rd Street. And this last slide is the last slide, and it's a, those are the courtyard spaces. The DRC wanted to see what really is going to happen in those courtyards. Those are the spaces between the residential buildings and the garage. The one on the left is a 7-story res building backing up to the 5-story garage, and the one on the right is the 3-story building back into the garage. So it's really about the landscape, it's about the greenery, about the light, the air, the view, and the services that are being provided for the senior housing and for the neighborhood. That's really all we want to show you now. We have slides of our, well, the landscape slides are here. If you'd like to, I can roll through them real quickly. You want to see that?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And now we,
all right.
And before we move forward, it's quasi-judiciary, and we want to know if anyone on the dais meet with the applicant, and if you can disclose that on record, please.
I met with Mr. Della Gloria and Mr. Frankel, and I want to mention, I don't think anybody's taken the oath in this room, have they?
Not yet.
Okay, so we still need to do that.
Oh, can you do that?
I've also met with Mr. Frankel and Mr. Della Gloria.
I had a a conference call with John Della Gloria and Mr. Frankel as well.
And I met with Mr. Frankel and Mr. Della Gloria.
And I met with John de la Gloria and the person representing the applicant. And now, before we move forward for public hearing, Madam Clerk, can you swear in those?
All right, can everybody hear me?
Not.
All right,
You have the list. You got to go based on the list.
No, we're going to swear them all in at the same time.
Okay.
And then you're going to
Okay. But what about if everyone want to speak?
We're going to swear everybody.
Okay.
So if they're going to speak on each
At what point we're
Looking
going
at
to
this on
stop
the
taking
microphone.
cards? Okay. Go ahead, ma'am.
All right. Can everybody who wishes to speak on the items G or H, or
No,
G
it's one
and
at a time, no? You're going to do... Okay. Okay.
Anybody who wishes to speak on items G and or H, please stand up. Raise your right hand and repeat. Can he just say do? All right. So I solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Okay. Once again, if you plan on speaking on the item, you will need to fill out a card for each item. That means if you gave a card, if you turned in a card for G and H, so G/H, it's going to be counted for G, not H. If you put a check mark, it's not going to be counted for either tab.
Okay. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. And now...
And speaker cards are in the back. I apologize, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Speaker cards are in the back by the entrance. Oh, we ran out? If we ran out, I have a few up here.
Thank you very much. We are going to start with tab G. Marisol Medina. And Richard Anez, please.
Since we have the card, do we still need to do our standard introduction, name and address? Okay. So my name is Marisol Medina. I live at 1270 Northeast 124th Street. I'm here in support of my neighbors that are against having the drive-through at Wendy's. I know
We're
it's
talking about tab G.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Excuse me, that's mine. I got a little mixed up there.
Can you go ahead, please? Tab G.
I'm glad to see that there have been improvements in the landscaping and in the way that they've presented the project. I did not get to hear the rest of the presentation, so I'm unaware if the communal, the public use element is still being served with maybe access to those. No, it's completely gone. So that little roundabout.
No,
area
thank you
that
very
you're
much. No.
considering- Okay. I
Ask
do
your
have
question,
my
please.
time frame to discuss and talk about this issue. If I don't understand it, this is my time to speak.
You won't be able to talk to the applicant. You express
He was
yourself.
kind enough to
Please,
address it, so I'm glad I'm moving
I'm the
forward.
chair of the meeting, please.
So, it has been a long discussion for this issue. So I'm glad we're coming to a close on it. And these men have worked hard on it. So I give you that acknowledgement. We are worried it's the first supercharged tall building that is in our area, and a lot of those neighbors that are going to be immediately affected are not in this meeting to discuss how they felt about the building, even though they're putting the tallest one farthest away, which is great. They're going to be affected, and this sets precedents for everything we're going to build moving forward. So I hope that the visions that have been put on those pictures are what we see, that greenery is really going to be there, and that we do get to keep all of those beautiful trees that take a long time to grow and that are protected. I know you're probably going to get rid of some trees because you have to get a permit for that, so I imagine that there will be something there removed. But I just really hope you hold them accountable, and you guys hold yourselves accountable to keeping that as beautiful as we can. So thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. After Richard Annis, Robert Osted, please. Yes, sir.
Richard Anise, 13030 Northeast 10th Avenue. I've been in favor of this project from the beginning, when it had an ALF, when they only had a 35-foot setback to match Villa Maria. I think they have made huge, huge concessions to satisfy the neighbors. You could have had a storage unit at a 10-foot setback on 123rd Street, or a storage facility, or many other things that could be there. For many years, this was an empty parking lot, and the only time that there was activity was when the church met at the Break of America building on Sundays on the second floor. They have since moved, and that's the only time there was ever any activity on that parking lot. It's been dormant and dead for years. This project is great. It was fine when it was workforce housing, senior. It's fine what it is now. Like I said, they have made huge concessions, and it was fine in the beginning. So I think they've really gone above and beyond. I mean, we're at a point now, you've already approved this. So I don't know if a bunch of people are going to get up here and say they don't want it. They can't stop it. All you're doing now is approving a very, very good site plan. If you want to tweak it or if something changes, that's fine. But this has got to move forward. It's been a long time coming. They've invested a lot of money. You know, if you didn't want it there, you could give them $7 million and you could buy the property and put something else there. So you just need to, you know, if you don't like some of the things in the site plan, I don't know what you wouldn't like, but I think at this point, you really just need to move forward and approve this site plan and get this thing going. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Howard Tomkin. Robert Hosted is not here, left. Howard, and then Jim Garrett. Yes, Howard.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and City staff. I would like to speak
Can
in
you say your name again, please?
Oh, sorry. I thought I did. Howard Tonkin, 12600 Griffin Boulevard. I would like to speak in support of this project. I think it's very important that we address the housing crisis that will be unfolding in our city moving forward. When Councilman Galvin mentioned how many of these repetitive lost properties do we have, I shudder to think at how many we will have in 10 years from now. So addressing, you know, new housing inventory is a really important thing for our city, and it's the type of project that's going to move our city forward in the right direction. The project is located on what is fairly high elevation in our city, and that's really important too. So, you know, as we start to lose some of the former tidal sloughs that run through our city, it's going to be very important to create a dense footprint in our city of this type of building. So I would just speak in support of it. Maybe not the travelers palms, because that would be a nightmare for mosquitoes, but if they did a lot of native planting, that would also be awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Halina Medina. Jim Garrick first.
And please let me speak all the way through. I have a speech impediment, and let me speak, and then afterwards, if you want to call me a name in the book, that's fine. But just let me speak all the way through. Jim Garrett, 11610 North Bayshore Drive. This week I spent a lot of time with a real architect, a real registered architect, my father. And I took my father by that site and I showed him these plans, and I took him around the city here that I live in. My dad said that this plan looked like Eaton Residential College down at University of Miami, or one of the crappy dorms out at FIU, or the new North Miami High. I'm not against the 175 units, John. What I'm against is the design. And I think there's been some changes. It's too much density. If you're going to have this much, buy the whole block. I'm for the concept of the project, but what we do in North Miami, we squeeze everything into the most smallest space. Look at the design over here for the Dollar Tree. We put our shopping center in the front, and you'll be able to go there. Every major project in this city, the Dollar Tree on 7th Avenue, the design, the architectural plans are beautiful, but the realization looks ugly. It looks like a college dorm room. Seriously, I'm in the college business. It looks like a dorm room. It looks like a dorm thing. I mean, and the elevation, you know, I'm not against 7 stories, but we have a 7, 6, 3, and then we have a 5. You know, we're just cramming too much space. I look at the design, it looks There's no public space. The space between the garage and everything is going to be probably this wide. We're going to put 2 palm trees in it, and then we're going to have ADA violations. And then we only have 1 entrance and 1 exit out of this place. That's a fire safety issue. I know that. And you won't get insurance when you, if you do get insurance, it's going to be high because it's only 1 entrance. A building has to have 2 entrances. I know that because I served on building committees at the University of Miami when I served there. You know, I think this needs to be revamped a little bit, put it back. We don't have a North Miami design. If this is the North Miami design like this, it looks like the high school. I'm sorry. Right now, I'm not for it in its current state. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alina Medina, then
Good evening.
Jessica Alston. Yes, sir.
Yes, Alina Medina, 1270 Northeast 124th Street. I was not for this size of building in this lot with the movement of the NRO line to accommodate this size of building, but I have to say I do like the percentage of apartment allocations they have, so that's good, so I have to recognize. And I do worry about the size or the amount of the parking spaces, if it's gonna be enough still for the apartments that we have. And so I hope and encourage our city officials to possibly maybe for future development, maybe do surveys or something that will look into what is it the city of North Miami residents want as development, because mainly we have storage, apartments, housing, and restaurants. And so maybe something a little bit different to keep the families entertained in our city and attract people and families to come here and live here.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Jessica
you.
Alston, then Bill Privatel, the last person.
Jessica Wilson, 1140 Northwest 125 Street. I do acknowledge that you worked very hard on this project, and grateful for your devotion towards it. I want to acknowledge the setback of the, I don't know if I'm using the right term, the 15% affordable housing units. I just was wondering if it could possibly be 20%. But I hope this sets a precedence to what other developments that happen in the city, that there will always be affordable housing set aside in whatever developments are made. Thank you.
William Prevatel, 11950 North Bay Shore Drive. I'd like to speak in favor of the project, as I have in the past. I think for all the reasons mentioned by our Director of Community Planning and Development, all those positive factors, this is quite a commendable project for our city. It's, I'm glad to see it's part of a larger idea. It's more multi-dimensional than most of our other projects. Commendable that they're able to save all of the oak trees. No easy feat. Very commendable that they're able to hide the parking within, and to make it a more inviting sort of environment. I hope you pass this, because we're going to need this project and more projects to get through the next few years. Even with what happened at 5 o'clock today, maybe the dawn of something that's going to be changing, and that will help perpetuate an economic concern. I'm hoping that our city will be able to reap the fees from this. We'll be able to have workforce there building it, and we'll be able to have valid, good jobs, not low-end, unskilled jobs, but some skilled labor at this location as well. I hope it inspires our community, and I know that the people there are not going to be penned in there, locked in permanently. Those people are going to habitate our downtown area. We've been looking for that for years, years. And especially if it's an older population, they're probably not prone to get in the car, drive out 50 miles to do something, to visit a restaurant. They'll be here in our community, and that will help perpetuate our downtown corridor. I think the artistic nature of it, at least that has been tried and incorporated, will complement our MoCA Museum. And I think we should all welcome this with open arms, hope for the best, and if there's anything else that they need to make it any better in any possible way, I hope that we can do that. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Public hearing is now closed. No cross-examination by city staff or the applicant. And now on the dais,
Just want to thank the developers. You've been patient, taking 3 years to get this project to where it is now was really a feat. You have worked so hard with the residents. We've been working together on this for 3 years. You've made changes. You've got step backs. You will probably be the only project with a 35-foot setback from the street. You're keeping the oak trees. You've done a beautiful job. You've just done everything. Unfortunately, took away the LF, which I thought was greatly needed. But you know, you talk to the residents. We only have a couple entrances because the residents didn't want them. There's a lot of reasons why we have some of these things, because we've had to make the residents happy. So congratulations, and I wish you luck this evening.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Councilwoman.
So I just wanted to verify whoever can answer this question, because I think there's a mix here. I heard it's all affordable, but I know that there's a 15% that's based for workforce. Is that correct? I just want to clear that up.
The 15% is as required by the city, but it's all senior, and it is all workforce if it wants to be, and it's all affordable.
Okay. And what's the measurement that you're basing your affordability?
And for that, we've asked one of the developers to come here because he knows what he's talking about.
Okay.
Good evening, all. This is Mo Yagoubi from Trice Development at the 111 King Concourse, Bay Harbor. Since we've been working on this project for the past 3.5 years, we started. My reports are somewhat outdated. However, to answer the question regarding the affordability, we started this project was going to be financed as a tax credit. Thereby, it would have been all affordable. However, those programs have gone away, and currently we are working with HUD that perhaps will fall in that same category.
Okay.
We are not sure yet. Depending upon who's willing to finance this project, aside from the 15% that it's been promised to be truly affordable, the rest of it will be, depends on the financing.
Okay.
And it may very well be a market rent based on the, whether we are going to finance it ourselves and develop it, and or depending upon the lenders. However, on the 15%, we will have across the board about 9 units of each type to be dedicated, to be truly affordable. That means 9 studios, 9 one-bedrooms, and 9 units of 2 bedrooms will be affordable. As far as the formula is concerned, the affordability is based on 60% AMI, average median income, which based on my report was at $40,000. That means that at least one resident has to have minimum $24,000 of an income. Or if it's a husband and wife, or couples, or other significant others, then it goes up from there on.
Okay.
Back in the day, we had done many studies in terms of the average rent, but at this point, we need to go back once the project is approved to do a whole new market study to determine the rent schedules.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor, I'm kind of glad this project is coming to fruition. It's been, like Vice Mayor Keys mentioned, 3 years in the making, and we had a lot of back and forth, especially with the community. Last year alone, when this project was in front of the commission, we had to set a special, I host a special town hall meeting with residents from the area. Over 65 residents from the area attended the meeting, and as a result of this, a lot of the compromise, and when I mean compromise, they truly made a lot of compromise with the developer in terms of what they wanted, the vision of the project, the density and the setbacks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, as well as the green area that you see around the project. I had wanted to see some activity, some more community activity base, but the folks that was there from the community, from residents from the area, wanted something else. So we compromised. We came with that. So Mr. Frankel, this was a phenomenal work. I know it's been, you guys compromise a lot, and we truly appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to have this project finalized. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Any other questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
I have a motion made by Vice Mayor Keys to approve the item at tab G. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Estime Irvin. Councilman Galvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Keys, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilwoman Estime Irvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Bieneme, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilman Desame, how do you vote?
Yes.
Item passes with a 5-0 vote.
We greatly appreciate your unanimous approval, and again, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. On behalf of the architects and the team, we're very grateful for your considerations. We have put together a calendar of our projects. You can keep them if you'd like. You get three months left. It's the year 2019.
Oh,
but
Jesus.
Prominently displayed is this project as well.
Thank you very much. And now tab H, please. Silence.
Tab H, proposed quasi-judicial resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami, Florida, acting as the Zoning Appeals Board pursuant to Section 2-501 of the Land Development Regulations, considering an appeal of a denial of an application for a special exception permit pursuant to Article 5, Division 1, Section 5-101, parentheses E, of the Land Development Regulations, LDRs, to allow a proposed drive-through in connection with a Wendy's restaurant at the property located at 13400 Northeast 3rd Court in the C-1 District. Said special exception to be reviewed under the criteria set forth in Article 3, Division 5, Section 3-504 of the LDRs, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes.
Thank you very much. I understand it's another quasi-judiciary item, and we need some explanation from the city attorney.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Actually, this is a quasi-judicial matter. It's slightly different than anything you've all seen before. As you know, we changed the LDRs, and as part of the LDRs, we included the fact that you all would sit as Zoning Appeals Board. This is the first time this body's actually sat as the Zoning Appeals Board, so I just want to make sure you understand the standard of review. As an appellate board, you will not be conducting a de novo review. In other words, you're not rehearing what the Board of Adjustment heard and rendering your own decision. In fact, the city's code specifically mandates that no new testimony or evidence will be permitted. Additionally, arguments on appeal will be limited only on behalf of the appellant, the appellee, or the city, and the attorneys on their behalf. The public will obviously have an opportunity to participate during the public comments section of the hearing. The most important thing to understand as your role as the appellate body is, again, you're not rehearing what the Board of Adjustment heard. Instead, in order to reverse, amend, modify, or remand for amendment, modification, or rehearing the decision of the lower board, the Zoning Appeals Board shall find that the board or official below did not comply with any of the following. And the code gives you three things that you need to consider, and it's whether the Zoning Appeals Board provided procedural due process. That's number one. Number two, observe the essential requirements of law. Or number three, base this decision upon substantial competent evidence. If you find that they did all three, then obviously you sustain what the lower body did. If you find that they didn't comply with any of those three, then you would have to reverse what they did. And actually, there's, as I said just now, your options in terms of your decision is you can reverse an order to reverse what the Zoning Appeals Board did. You can amend what the Zoning Appeals Board did. You can modify what they did. You can remand, which means send it back to the Zoning Appeals Board for amendment, modification, or rehearing. So those are your options in terms of what your decision can be tonight. If you have any questions, obviously I'm here to answer. Thank you, sir.
Do we have any question on the dais before we move forward with the item? No. And now we are going to open it to the public. And let
No, if I can, then, just so, I mean, we just did it just now in the last quasi-judicial, but in terms of procedure, the first order of business is to disclose if you've had any discussions with anyone regarding this matter. And then there'll be presentation by the city staff, presentation by the applicant, public comment, cross-examinations by all the parties, rebuttal by the applicant if they'd like, and then closing a public hearing, and then discussion among the members, and then your decision.
Okay, thank you. The first thing, and did we had any conversation with the applicant?
I disclosed I spoke to Mr. Book, Ms. Mollett, Ms. Hill, and Mr. Michael Hill. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I spoke to Mr. Book a couple weeks ago, and I had about 3 or 4 conversations with some of the residents.
Thank you very much.
Right. I also met with Mr. Ron Book and Kelly. I also met with a couple of residents. A couple of residents on the matter as well.
And
oh yeah, I did speak with Mr. Book. Greetings. And probably got an email and phone call from about everybody else in the room who's here on this one.
Thank you very much. I met with Mr. Book, and I received some emails and talked to some residents. Thank you. And now, do we have any presentation by city staff?
Tanya Wilson with the Community Planning and Development Department. Staff will provide a brief presentation just to provide an overview or background for the mayor and council as well as the residents that are present. So the request before you is for an appeal of the special exception rendering of a denial before the Board of Adjustment. And this is for the request of a drive-through facility for a 2,164 square feet Wendy's restaurant. The address of the property is 13400 Northeast 3rd Court, and that's on the southwest corner of Northeast 3rd Court and Northeast 135th Street. The size of the property is approximately 2.1 acres in size in totality. It's zone C1, so it allows for commercial uses. Restaurant is a permitted use as of right on the site. Denial was rendered back in December 2018 of last year. And that's just a depiction of the site plan, particularly for those at home. That's also in your packet. And as the city attorney mentioned before, based on the zoning code, the action of the Zoning Appeals Board is to affirm, modify, reverse, or remand the Board of Adjustment decision. And based on the outcome from tonight, the applicant also has the opportunity to appeal the board's decision, the mayor and council's decision before the courts. So I'm going to turn it over to the applicant so they can make their presentation at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of the council. Jerry Proctor, I'm an attorney with office at 9130 South Dataland Boulevard. Here representing Citadel Plaza, the property owner. Mr. Daniel Abreu, the principal of that owner, is here with me tonight. I'm also joined by Ron Book and Kelly Millette, by Paul Tremblay and Eduardo Carcacci from our development team, by Ms. Natalia Lacari, who is our traffic engineer, who I'm going to ask to follow me in the presentation, and by Ms. Saris Lugo of Wendy's. We are all here to answer questions and try to help move this along and help you come to a decision. We are here, Mr. Mayor and members of the council, to ask that you reverse the decision of the Board of Adjustment. We're here to make that request because we believe that that decision was not based on substantial competent evidence and that it misappropriated the standards in the code. And I'll get a little more into that, but I think the first thing I want to do is orient the board in terms of the site plan, the property, which is part of a larger shopping center, and the community. And I think that's most important when we start to talk about the Wendy's and the subject of what you are hearing tonight, which is a restaurant, an as-of-right restaurant with a drive-through, which is the subject of a special exception. I have put in front of me the site plan of development. The shopping center is zoned C1. This property was zoned commercially in Miami-Dade County even before it was annexed by the city. And when it was annexed, it obtained the C1 classification. The developer, Mr. Abreu, has developed a Family Dollar store adjacent to the proposed Wendy's along 135th Street and a retail building in the back, in the backside or south side of the property. Both of those buildings are one story. They are located as shown on the plan. And I think that one of the more important things that I want to talk to the board about is what has been built and what will be built in terms of the Wendy's and the development. Because the other buildings, the Family Dollar building and the retail building, have been built. They're completed and they're open for business. Both of those buildings are one story. They are located as shown on the plan. And one of the things that you have to look at and your staff has to look at when you look at a hearing for a special exception is what is the impact of the special exception on the area? What is the scope and size and impact overall of that special exception on the community? And where's the community located? What's the character of the surrounding area? This proposed restaurant would be located on the corner, the southwest corner of 135th Street and 3rd Court, as shown on the plan. It will be one story. The buildings that exist surrounding it on the same property are also one story. The buildings that exist will block many or all of the impacts of the Wendy's from the surrounding area, particularly the surrounding residential area to the south. The residential area to the south is zoned R4, could permit up to 12 to 14 units per acre, and that community will be separated at its closest point from the drive-through, which is what we're here talking about tonight, by 135 feet, by a parking lot, another building, and landscaping going back from north to south toward the community. A separation of 135 feet. And I would say to you, when you look at this property as a whole and look at this in context of what's around it, what's around this Wendy's is our development. We are 135 feet from our closest neighbor to the south. I'm talking about the drive-through area in the rear of the Wendy's. We are over 200 feet from our west. We have the Family Dollar that intervenes from the Wendy's to the west. We have additional commercial property to our west. So the residents along Griffin Boulevard, some of whom we have spoken to, are separated by 200 feet within our property, additional commercial property that will be developed, and then you hit their area along Griffin. We have high-density residential to our north, and as I said earlier, and I think this is really most crucial, we have a separation of 135 feet, a building, a parking area, and landscaping to our south. This developer has developed this entire property in excess, in many cases far in excess of the code requirements. The code requires a 10-foot commercial building setback on the south side. It's developed at a 20-foot setback. The loading area that serves this center is located internal on the site near the Family Dollar. It's not in the back. It's not adjacent to someone's home or someone's driveway or anything of that type. The setback along the east side, which is Third Court, is about 50 feet, far in excess of code requirements. And the buildings are all one story. This is a very modest center, and this restaurant is a very small building that will fit comfortably on the corner. The restaurant will have ample parking in terms of the code. And I want to mention that with some particularity because one of the findings, we believe erroneous findings of the Board of Adjustment, was that there was inadequate parking. There are 18 parking spaces designated for the Wendy's, in addition to a 10-car stack drive-through area for the drive-through component. There is adequate area to park. There's adequate area to go through the drive-through. There's adequate area to bypass if you get in the drive-through and you change your mind or you want to park or we run out of time or whatever. There's adequate room to maneuver through a bypass lane, excuse me, to exit the site or to find a parking place. And we believe that the Board of Adjustment was in error in this particular regard when talking about the parking and the access and the compatibility of the Wendy's within the property and the adequacy of parking. I would mention just a couple of additional points. Going to your staff report, particularly pages 17, 18, and 19 of your kit. These recommendations address very clearly why the decision of the Board of Adjustment should be reversed. Again, on page 17, and I won't read all of them, there are adequate parking areas and off-street truck loading spaces for the anticipated number of occupants, employees, patrons, and the layout of the parking is convenient and conducive to safe operation. There is suitable landscaping or fencing alongside lot and rear lot lines adjacent to residential uses. As I said earlier, there's double the required landscaping. The proposed special exception will constitute an appropriate use in the area and will not substantially injure or detract from the use of the surrounding property or from the character of the neighborhood. This use and this special exception will be located on the corner. It will be a common use with a restaurant. It will operate in conjunction with the restaurant, and it will be very, very amply spaced from our neighbors. Just a couple of additional points. We have met both individually and collectively with many members of the community. We have enjoyed those discussions, and we want to make that clear to the board. We know we have folks here regarding this matter, and we have made attempts, particularly with the nearby property owners, to have discussions, and we've had considerable discussions, not with everyone in the room, but with a number of different people, particularly up and down Third Court. I'm going to submit a couple of things into the record, and I'm going to ask Ms. LaCorey to come forward. We have obtained approval from the state of Florida and from Miami-Dade County to remove the right turn only sign at the intersection of 3rd Court and 135th Street. That's for cars coming out of the community and out of this property, going north on 3rd Court to 135th, which is our intersection, and wanting to go east or west. They can already go east. The state of Florida and Miami-Dade County have approved the removal of the right turn only sign. This was an important element in the discussion at the Board of Adjustment, and it's something that we have spent some time working on, and we're happy to present it. We think it's important. We think it goes to the standards in the code, and we think it goes to our compatibility with the community. I will pass forward for the record the approvals that have been granted in that regard, both the consultant report and the approvals granted by the state and by Miami-Dade County. Ms. Licari is also going to show you some improvements on 135th that frankly are a coincidence. They are not things that we initiated, but things that we want the board to be aware of that we think will fit harmoniously with our development, with the removal of the right turn only sign, and with the overall community impact. I'll turn it to Ms. Licari. Thank you.
Good evening, Natalia Licari with McMahon Associates. Let me see if this. I'm just going to touch on a couple key items of the traffic study, but going back to what Jerry had mentioned, I just want to point out two things. The one item that Jerry was mentioning, that DOT, if you can see on this plan that we have over here, DOT has been in the process for a couple years of converting the two-way center left turn lane along 135th to include medians along there for safer access. The median is intended to restrict access at a couple locations along the corridor to kind of consolidate people to go to Memorial or to the other signalized intersection to the east. And again, as Jerry mentioned, that's a plan that DOT's had for a couple years. It's not part of our project. But at our intersection specifically, there will continue to be the same access that there is today. So vehicles will be able to turn from 135th to go either north on 3rd or south. That will continue to occur. And for residents coming out of Northeast 3rd Court to the north, they'll continue to be able to make the right turn. And as Jerry mentioned, DOT went out there and evaluated the intersection at the request of the residents that we heard that there was concerns.
Thank you. And just before we move forward, you're not allowed to present any new testimonies. We are here to reverse just, we don't need new evidence of new testimony on that, okay? You just want to make sure. What you're asking is for us, the Board of Appeal, to reverse a decision that was taken. It's not new evidence and try to sell us
No, we're
something
just
new.
mentioning something DOT is already planning. They're going to
Yeah,
construction.
but if he wasn't presented before, we don't want to hear from him. Thank you. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
So with specific regard to the traffic study, we coordinated with the city, and at their request, we prepared a traffic study for this site.
Please, thank you very much. And okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we had prepared a traffic study for this site in coordination with the city. We submitted this traffic studies to the city, and it was
This was presented before the Board of Adjustment.
at the board. They had asked for a traffic study to be prepared.
After
so
that, but we don't want to hear from that. Thank you. If you did not present that, that's not what we are discussing right now. If it was not presented before the Board of Adjustment for approval or rejection, that's when we don't want to hear from it now.
Yeah, section, if I may, Mayor.
Yes,
Section
go ahead.
3-707, which describes how this hearing should be conducted, specifically says that no new testimony or evidence shall be permitted. This is not a de novo review, as I said in the beginning, so anything that was presented to the, to the zoning appeal, I mean, sorry, to the zoning, I'm sorry, to the,
To the Board of Adjustment.
The Board of Adjustment is fair game, but you cannot present any new evidence tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are you done? Thank you.
Just to conclude,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to reserve some time for rebuttal, but I'd like to go over in brief the standards for a special exception, which your city attorney mentioned earlier. Number one, is there appropriate access to assure public safety and avoid congestion? There is adequate access on 135th Street and 3rd Court. There is adequate movement of vehicles in and out of the site on 3rd Court. We have a development, Mr. Mayor and members of the council, that is largely developed. And what we have observed in numerous visits is that the visitors to this property already are not traveling in great numbers south through the neighborhood, on 3rd Court. They are using 3rd Court to access out onto 135th. They are using 135th to enter the site as well. This is a compatibly placed commercial property, and it's serving its function. It's serving a need, it's serving a convenience need, and it's not funneling large amounts of traffic through the community. So this is one of the standards, appropriate access. Adequate parking. I talked about that earlier because I really believe that the Board of Adjustment got it wrong on that particular element, among others. Suitable landscaping adjacent to residential areas. Talked about that as well. We have double the required landscaping adjacent to the residential area. Is the development reasonable in terms of extension of public services, water, sewer, police, fire, and transportation? We have the support of city staff on these items. We have extended public sewer to serve this development. That is in place already and is serving the development and will serve the Wendy's if it's approved and development. And finally, an appropriate use in the area will not detract from surrounding property or the character of the neighborhood. Page 19 of your staff report in your package says it's an appropriate use in the area, will not injure or detract from the use of the surrounding properties or the character of the surrounding neighborhood, particularly since its location does not interfere with any oncoming traffic or cause any stacking issues. With that, Mr. Mayor, we would reserve some time for rebuttal. We're happy to try to answer any questions you have, and we appreciate your attention.
Thank you very much. And now we're going to open it to the public.
Nobody wants to speak.
Marisol Medina. Okay. Jose Rivera. Rosa Elena, I don't know, Clark? I don't know what it is. Rosa Elena? Yes. Yes. You, okay. Can you use the mic, please?
Hello. I live on 13325 Northeast 3rd Court.
Can you say your name, please?
Jose Rivera.
Your address?
13325 Northeast 3rd Court. Now, the little thing he shows there, he doesn't show the traffic. It's amazing how he'll print something out, but they don't show the traffic and the congestion that it's going to show. Now, whatever he says, at 135th is always a cluster mess. They got apartments on Memorial Highway that they're renovating, and it's going to get done. When all those apartments get filled, we got to deal with that traffic. We have the school and everything else. And the part where they put the laundromat, that's congested too. But he doesn't put on there the filth that's gonna come down my street, the garbage. Because I get garbage thrown on my lawn when I come out of my house. That's not in there. He doesn't put all the traffic that is gonna pass. He says it ain't, but it is. Because you ask them where they live, would they like a Wendy's put on the corner of their block? And I guarantee you, if I ask you the same thing, you say no. And when I come home from work, I just want to get home. And that's the same thing every one of yous want to do when you walk out and you get in your car to get home. And what they're planning on doing is going to make my life, I'm going to be pissed off. And I know my neighbors are going to be pissed off, and it's not going to be the same. I live in a block where my mailman told me, you know, you've always lived in this block, and it's always been quiet. He goes, the only problem you ever had is the mosquito. And now here they come. I'm telling you, this is wrong for the neighborhood. It's not in the right place. And I know we're not saying no that they can't put something there. What's wrong with like a dentist's office or a little doctor's office? Why does it have to be a Wendy's with a drive-through where you get like between 40 to 75 cars in an hour through a drive-through? And where are they gonna go? They're not gonna go 135th because I know 135th is packed. I live there. They're gonna come down 3rd Court. That's where they're gonna come. And that's the truth.
Please.
And that's the truth. So whatever they're saying, they wouldn't want it on their block, we're the same. We don't want it on our block. And I don't know if this thing already's been approved. Has it been approved already for them to have this?
Please,
Okay.
please.
Has it been approved or no? Okay, so there's something else they could put there that doesn't have the amount of traffic that we're asking them not to bring in our neighborhood.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Rosa Elena, yes.
I think we might need to clarify, and I'm going to ask the city attorney for his direction. The Wendy's itself has been approved and will be built. What's at debate or discussion tonight is whether or not it will have a drive-through. Am I accurate in understanding?
That's correct, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Public hearing is still open.
Hello.
Where is Rosa Elena? You can you please? Okay, that's mean one person gonna talk on behalf of everybody. No. Okay. Please talk on the mic. Can you?
You can't assign it.
Because she's the most affected person.
I understand that. Do you want to speak or not?
We have a problem with the laundry. It's a lot of traffic, a lot of people parking in there, especially on weekends. And the smell is terrible. It's affecting our life.
Ma'am, can you please state your name for the record and your address, please?
My name is Rosa Clark, and I live in 13340 Northeast 3rd Court.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Hi.
Can I call Jean Gisette? Huh? I know. Where is Jean Gisette? Jean Gisette?
No, it's Gisette. It's
please.
not. He's not
okay, he's gone.
Jim Garrett.
Now, and Marisol Medina.
Thank
Yes.
you. Marisol Medina, 1270 Northeast 124th Street. Like I said earlier, I'm here to support my fellow North Miami residents in opposition of the drive-through. There is a lot of things going on in one lot, and they're going to have the drive-through anyway. But I don't know if you've ever gone to Northwest 7th Avenues or the one on 125th, I'm sorry, on Biscayne, where, like the gentleman said before very well, there's like 40 cars going through there, lunchtime and dinner time. They fly through. They don't care where they're coming through. And the fact that it's on 135th, which we all know what 135th is like with the school. You try to avoid that street if possible because there's so much chaos. And now with the new evidence that they're going to take away the right only, oh, you guys, that's going to be crazy. And those poor people, along with a Family Dollar, a Wendy's, and a laundromat, what a mecca for a representation of our city. How many of these Family Dollars do we have within a 2-minute radius? I'm concerned for them. If we all get trash on our streets, what is it going to be like when people don't care where they throw their stuff? The quality of life is a huge factor in our city. We're one of the only ones left. And if we continue to build like this, it's only going to degrade our city. So I vouch with them. We don't need the drive-through. They're going to make lots of money with or without it, right? So let's just do without. Thank you, guys.
Please, Dion Dean and Carmela Firme. Dion first.
Yeah, hi, Dion
Oh, yeah.
Deans, 13390 Northeast 4th Court. I've lived in North Miami for probably about 15, 16 years. I love the city of North Miami. It's in my little neighborhood is beautiful. We've had a lot of people moving in, putting a lot of money into their houses. Equity, I put in a new pool, new windows. We have my neighbor behind me, sweat equity, beautiful yard, beautiful swales. So let's see what's going to happen now. So here we have all these great taxpayers. By the way, we have houses going in that little neighborhood for $500,000. That's a lot of taxpayers' money right there. That's a lot of taxes. Okay, so here we are. So what's going to happen? Here's rush hour, right? 11 to 2 at Wendy's. They're going to drive in our neighborhood. They're going to park on my beautiful swale. They're going to have their engines running. They're going to finish eating the Wendy's whatever after the drive-through. They're going to open up the door, throw the garbage out, drive off after burning my grass, by the way, with leaving their air conditioning in. And if they're not going to do that, they're going to drive down these streets and they're going to throw the garbage outside the window. Because you know what? They don't take the garbage home with them. They throw it out of the window. So if you think that we as taxpayers should be thrown aside for Wendy's, who are they? Who are they? We've lived in this neighborhood for decades. These people are going to come along and literally bully us into having a drive-through? It's disgusting. You know what? You know what's interesting? You know how many cities all over America are actually changing their zoning laws to prevent drive-throughs, to prevent them. You know what they're called? Cities on the move. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Isn't that our motto? Cities on the move? A city on the move? Wait a minute. What's so progressive about a Wendy's? How is that a city on the move? That's our motto. Give us a break. Give us something decent. Name one thing. Name one great thing that Wendy's does for our community. Anybody? One thing? Big, fat, disgusting burger? No, I'm good. No, next. I'm good. I don't want one. I don't need one. I don't need a Wendy's. I don't need a drive-through. You know what? This is our city. This is our city on the move. I love my city. They don't give a crap about our city. They don't care about the garbage. They don't care about the traffic. They don't care that they took the right turn lane only that's going to cause so many accidents. They don't care. Because you know what? Money. They're getting paid. They're getting paid out of our pockets. The people that stop in that drive-through don't even live in our neighborhoods. They're going to stop in, they're going to throw the garbage out the window and drive off.
Thank you very much.
That's it.
Please. Thank you very much. Helene Bicaba. Helene, please. Thank you very much, Carmela.
Hello, is this on? Yeah, okay. Good evening. First, I want, Carmela Furman, 12530 Northeast 4th Avenue. First, I want to say as president of Know Me Neighbors, I'm here to say that we support the efforts of our neighbors on Northeast 3rd Court in their quality of life fight. As Carmela, the solutions proposed for me are unsatisfactory. This drive-through is really a disaster waiting to happen, as Dion mentioned, that right-only turn sign being removed. I really don't see the need for a Wendy's, but I understand that it's already been approved. So perhaps what can be done with that space instead of that drive-through would be, or instead of a Wendy's really, would be additional parking. That's something that's definitely lacking in that plaza, even though they have mentioned that there is sufficient parking, which isn't the reality. So I ask council to vote no on this and uphold the Board of Adjustments decision, and let the developer take it to court, because we'll also be there. And lastly, I do want to read a quote from the City of Miami former Mayor Maurice Ferrer, who recently passed away. And as many of you know, he was a proponent of development and gave us the City of Miami as we know it today. And I quote, "This community continues to senselessly ignore the reality that if one wants something of quality, one must have the discipline to stand one's ground. It's not as if the advocates of more parks are demanding the greening of Miami at a major financial expense to us. What is being asked for is more understanding, caring, and discipline by our elected officials." Thank you.
Laura here. Yes, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Eileen Bicaba, 13350 Northeast 3rd Court. 3 other members of 3rd Court have prepared a presentation for you. I would like to give you a handout that shows some of the evidence that we are about to present. All right, unfortunately, we have not been called in order.
Please, did you make the presentation before the Board of Adjustment previously?
No, I did not do this presentation, but it goes right along with stuff that has been presented. It's not new evidence.
If you did not present
It's not
that
new
before.
evidence, it's
Thank
just
you very
showing.
much. Thank you very much. Can you move forward?
Okay.
For your 2 minutes.
Let's go over some of the very specific things that the developer has presented or discussed. Now, one of the things he discussed was the traffic on 135th and the changes that was made in which there was no right turn, all right? It was discussed at the Board of Adjustment that that corner not having the ability to go left was a big problem. I did speak and get the traffic study on that corner. We already know, and I personally brought it towards the Board of Adjustment based on a public information request I took from North Miami Police Department for traffic from 2018, January to December the 18th, that one corner has 18 accidents versus 36 accidents from 3rd Court to 15th. In addition, that makes it the most dangerous corner on Northeast 3rd Court. And simply removing the sign, the right turn only sign, does not fix that. You know, it still remains the most dangerous corner, and that does not address the issue. Now, we already know a drive-through has hundreds of cars per hour. Now you're going to take the most dangerous intersection in Northeast Miami on 135th Street and add hundreds of cars per hour from a Wendy's drive-through to it. And that is an unsafe environment. Now, he says that the quality of life one of it is the quality of life issue. I can tell you, as the house closest to it, that entire development has severely impacted my quality of life. And they want to present it in pieces, but it's one developer doing the whole thing and then presenting it in pieces so that he can get past you guys. The laundromat it's taking up all the space. in the parking.
Thank you very much. Jim Gary.
Hi, I'm Laura Hill. I live at
A
13075.
quick question before, please. And Mr. City Attorney,
I think my minutes are
please,
accruing
we're
when
gonna
you
give.
interrupted me.
You have 2 minutes. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. And is it Mrs. Laura Hill is on the Board of Adjustment?
There's no problem. I'm a private resident.
No, I'm talking up to the City Attorney.
Asking me if she is on the Board of
She's on the Board of Adjustment. She still can speak
Yeah,
as a
she's a
resident.
member of the public.
Okay.
She still has 3
Thank you
minutes.
very much.
There's a
You have 3
citizen-
minutes.
Yes, thank you. I'm aware of that. There's Laura Hill, 13075 Griffin Boulevard. There's a Bill of Rights for citizens that allow them to approach their representatives. So I just wanted to remind you of that. But what I would like to use as my minutes is to talk about the Board of Adjustment meeting. I'd like to remind you that it is a special exception to our LDRs. It is not the right of this developer to have the drive-through. And so their application is to ask for the right to do so. And they were given a fair hearing. We heard their evidence, we took it into consideration, and unfortunately, they failed to meet the standards established to obtain this special exception to our LDRs, which ban drive-throughs unless given special permission. And in the line item that states that they may not directly detract from an existing residential neighborhood, they failed to meet that standard. And that is why they failed to get one single vote from a Board of Adjustment member. They failed to meet that standard of maintaining the quality of life for a number of reasons you have heard here in testimony of the people who live in the neighborhood. One of the biggest issues was traffic. They have taken a very small piece of land and put a lot of businesses in it. And when I have been speaking to council members, there has been a lot of concern about the amount of businesses on one spot. And with those businesses come a lot of traffic. And the fact is, despite what some of their traffic studies may show in non-optimal times of day, we have a daycare, we have a laundromat, we have a Family Dollar, and they're proposing a Wendy's. We also have 2 schools in the immediate vicinity, and one more coming. It is unfeasible that the nature of these businesses will not have the same time frame of congestion, and that same time frame also coincides with massive congestion on 135th. It is unreasonable to think that the majority of the cars are not going to cut through from Northeast 3rd Court onto Northeast 131st and back down to Griffin so that they can safely turn right or left onto Northeast 135th. If you don't realize this, you haven't driven down the neighborhood recently. When we are talking about our quality of life, we're talking about the homes that we've invested in, how our neighborhood is thriving, how our properties values have gone up, and we're here to protect that investment. So we ask you to stand by the residents in voting this down. Thank you.
Michelle Haynes. Yes.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Jim Garrett, 11610 North Bay Shore Drive, Unit 1A, North Miami, Florida, 33181. First of all, when you spoke about that you met, the disclosure statement at the beginning of the meeting, you spoke that you all met with the developers. I didn't see no disclosure about who you met with the citizens. We're part of the equation, the second part. That's the truth. Oh, sorry. When you first started out the meeting, the first point was disclosure. You disclosed you met with the developers, but you didn't disclose you met with the citizen. Second, I got a perfect name for this shopping center. The Center of Low Expectations. That's what this city's about. We have a Family Dollar, a Dream Laundry, and we're going to put a Wendy's way drive-through with this. There's a vacant piece of property on the west of that. What's next? A storage facility? A Jiffy Lube? Or we're going to put Frank's Roland proposed funeral home there? Third one, drive-through. The speaker faced the south. Can you hear at 1 to 4 a.m. someone going from Billy's Pubs up there, oh, I want the Baconator and the large chili. Okay, from 1 to 4, and then the window is over by the nursing home. And those people, they have units. They have these little units, wall units. Look at the drive-thrus from this city. Burger King, Wendy's, Poli Tropical, they're all busy on 7th Avenue. Mickey D's, Taco Bell here in Center City. BK, Mickey D, Wendy's here on the east side. They're all busy. You putting it in the middle of a neighborhood. Fourth, we had a Wendy's that was a problem. The first Wendy's in this city that is long gone, Northeast 18th Avenue and 123rd Street. The people in Laurel Lane, back then Northeast 124th Street, was yelling, screaming because they could hear the speaker all the way down the street at 2 in the morning. They heard me one night coming through there after I went to Big Daddy's and everything because they said it was an Irish accent. That went out of business. It was vacant for a part of time. So that was it. And then we talk about that we're going to be stewards of the environment in this city. We're talking about plastic straws, plastic utensils, plastic bags from Wendy's and Family Dollar, plastic containers from the coin laundry, because everyone's going to go to the dollar store and buy the dollar for the Tide and the softener for the other thing, the laundry softener. Then we have a traffic. The removal of the third court right sign that's a mess. And, it's just a mess. And we're killing we bragged a week ago that this neighborhood, that North Miami is coming back. Some of us were bragging property values. We already heard testimony about one property going for $500,000. We're killing Renaissance neighborhood. We did this before. Between 1965 through 73, during Mayor Wynn, Giston Day, and our hug, they put them darn apartments on 6th Avenue.
John Porter.
Thank you, Council. My name is Michelle Haynes. I live at 13331 Northeast 3rd Court. I've been there for over 20 years. A special exception is an approval should only be made in cases that benefit the area, the residents, not harm them. Collective demand for parking far surpasses available parking during peak hours. Parking lot is already full daily. Only two of the 4 tenants are there. We have the laundromat and we have the dollar store. The commercial site and size is not sufficient to accommodate a drive-through. Let's think about parking and delivery and loading. According to the Florida Building Code Accessibility Section 208-3-1, parking spaces that serves a particular building or facility shall be located the shortest accessible route from parking to the entrance. With this being new construction, let's take a look at accessible parking. I think the site plan is in your packet that the developers gave you. So looking at the accessible parking, you're asking the accessible parking patrons to cross the access to gain entry into this Wendy's. You have traffic in the front and also traffic coming from east and west. Actually, how many times have you seen people try to rush and drive their cars into a drive-through? So we're asking accessible parking to gain entry right there where the drive-through actually starts. Do we really want that? Truck deliveries. With Wendy's being so close to residential zones, when would deliveries be? If we're not driving a truck, we don't know. This is not a perfect world. Let's take a look where the trucks will make their deliveries. As you can see on the site plan, the trucks will enter Northeast 3rd Court and come in and gain access of this development. And they will park in an angle where it will block whomever is at the laundromat. The laundromat opens up at 7 a.m. And also the Family Dollar opens up at 8 a.m. So you're asking residents, they'll come in on 3rd Court, they have to go all the way around Wendy's to go to Family Dollar if they're coming off 3rd Court or coming up 3rd Court. So the trucks are sitting there and the cross access is compromised. The cross-access provide motorists the ability to move between developments or buildings. Thank you.
Victor Vigano? Yes, sir.
Good evening, John Porter, 340 Northeast 131st Street. You don't need a DeLorean to go back in time to know what this commercial site will be in 20 years if this Wendy's is approved. You only need to drive to the shopping center at the corner of 123rd Street and Biscayne Boulevard, where a Burger King sits in their parking lot just as these characters are proposing in our residential neighborhood. You will see there every single day at that shopping center a parking lot packed with cars driving in circles looking for parking space and lines of cars clogging two major roadways trying to get in and out of that parking lot. The strip mall where this fast food drive-thru would go isn't even fully rented with tenants, and yet all of the parking is unavailable on a daily basis due to the busy laundromat located there. A daycare will open shortly. Anyone who has traversed a child's pickup line at daycare knows what 6 p.m. looks like at a daycare. I visited this site during the week, during rush hour, and there are no parking spaces for these potential parents of the daycare. That's only 2 tenants. Where do the other tenants in the strip mall park their patrons? There is no barrier between this site and our residential neighborhood. The impacts to property values, and more importantly, quality of life impacts, were the basis for the zoning variance decision from the Board of Adjustments, and their decision should be respected. It is a slippery slope you're treading on. There isn't a single drive-through on 135th Street, east of 95. If the Board of Adjustments decision isn't respected, this will be used as precedent for more drive-throughs, driving commercial businesses deeper into 135th Street, which is primarily a residential street. This body will be hearing zoning variance appeals in perpetuity if you approve this. Every decision this body makes will further politicize the zoning and code enforcement of our city. I'd like to end on this. There are no ATMs in heaven. If we choose corporate greed over quality of life, we all lose.
Lorikna?
You're next.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Good evening. Congratulations to the newly elected. My name is Victor Vigano. I reside at 385 Northeast 131st Street, the corner with 3rd Court. So, from my understanding, tonight it's about upholding or denying what the Board of Adjustment voted. It is commendable what the attorney representing the project told tonight, but I have to agree with the Board of Adjustment. There's some impacts that adversely affect the quality of life in our neighborhood. I am concerned about the traffic increase. Already 135th, as many have said, it's very trafficked. This is already not even in season. During season, it's a mess. And with the drive-through, people coming in one side and probably be ejected again on the other direction on 135th again, it will exacerbate the problem. And then accident. From what I understand from study we have done ourselves, the 135th is in the upper percentile of location where there's accidents and pedestrian getting hit. Noise increase in the neighborhood. Another problem affecting our neighborhood due to the laundromat, due to the daycare, due to the dollar store, due to the possibly, if you approve the Wendy's, too many things packed in what I do not agree with the attorney. In a small location, it's not true there is enough space. It's a lot of different establishment in a, I don't know if you saw the picture, in a very small location. Already in the afternoon, just the people that work there cram up the parking spaces without the establishment being completely operational, without a Wendy's today. We have pictures to prove it. We have done some research over there, which is not new evidence. It just upholds what the Board of Adjustment have already said. So we know that what he said is not true, it's wrong, and we have some paper to prove it. Here we are. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cecile. Lasky. Next, ma'am. Yes, you.
Okay. Lorraine Landgrebe, 385 Northeast 131st Street. I am on the corner of Northeast 3rd Court and 131st Street. I am going to speak specifically to the special exception requirements that are not being met as it relates to the appropriate use of the area. And I'm specifically going to speak to garbage, litter, aesthetics, pedestrian hazards, health issues as it promotes childhood obesity, and crime. Garbage and litter can hamper economic development of a community. When new business look for dynamic growing community where their businesses can grow, they would hardly be interested in setting up new ventures if they see a lot of litter around. We have actual photos. Before even the Wendy's, the area is a mess. There's litter and garbage everywhere. Fast food packaging is the #1 cause of street litter. The most common littered objects include the following in descending order: fast food, paper, aluminum, glass, and then plastic. Food industry giants such as Wendy's are the largest consumers of paper products in the U.S. Every year, millions of pounds of food packaging waste litter our streets and spoil our quality of life. It promotes childhood obesity. Mr. Delsome, I understand that you are an advocate for child health. This promotes childhood obesity as fast food consumption increases calorie intake, promotes weight gain, and increased risk of diabetes. And that is a quote from the director of obesity problem at the Children's Hospital of Boston. Negative impact on air quality. Idling vehicles waiting in lines at drive-through facilities waste gas, harm air quality, and increase greenhouse gas emissions. Combine that with the nightmare laundromat that we have there that has exhaust fumes from the dryers blowing into poor Elaine's yard and throughout our community. And we are going to be contacting the EPA to do some testing as well as it relates to the laundromat. And if the drive-through goes in, it's going to be a disaster. Clustering of drive-through facilities and other vehicle-dominated environments combine to have a significant effect on pedestrians. It's discouraging for pedestrians and bicycles, and fast food proximity and discount stores, which we have both in that development, are the top causes for severe injury for pedestrian crash frequency, according to the Florida Department of Transportation. So in conclusion, Northeast 3rd Court neighbors do not want this development. I think we have approximately, how many signatures? We have a petition that we have where the entire area has signed against the drive-through. NOMI neighbors, our association, of course, is all behind us, and over 50 homes displaying signs against the development in protest of this. We request that the will of the residents of North Miami Kerwood neighborhood be your priority in this judgment. Thank you.
Thank you, Alina Medina. William Privatel.
Good evening, Alina Medina, 1270 Northeast 124th Street. Our home is like our sanctuary. It's where we go from a stress day, from how Miami is, to have peace at home with our families. And I went through that, something not like this, but with Dry Cleaner Spot Master for 4 or 5 years. And I don't want this for my neighbors. I want to support them, and I want them to have peace when they come home. And I worry about the safety of the families that live around there with all the traffic, everything that's been already mentioned before about why this is not the correct measure as far as the drive-through for them. So you already listened to a proposal from them and you went against it, of putting this drive-through, giving the okay for the drive-through, and I hope you stick to it because it was a good decision. Thank you.
William Previtel, 11950 North Bay Shore Drive.
Irini Ben Bikaba?
Sure.
Yes, Ben. Yes.
Okay. William Previtel, 11950 North Bay Shore Drive. I'd like to begin my discussion on the Wendy's with an extension of appreciation to our staff and to our council. And I hope that the new faces in our audience hear what I have to say, and that is that I believe our council has been on a roll. I believe they've been very supportive of more promising projects over these last few years. We live in a city for decades that stagnated, They really had the fast food restaurants and the self-storage and the dollar stores and a whole lot of other lackluster projects. And of late, we're on a streak. You guys have actually done may have not been unanimous, but have done a great job of trying to create a future for our city. And you can say when people ask you, or a newspaper, you could say, we're doing a better project. We're doing something that's inspiring. We're doing something that's better for the storms. We're doing something that's better for the economy, more dynamic for the economy, and might even be inspiring to the people of the community. I think if you were to pass this and say, yes, we'll go ahead with this drive-in, I can't imagine what your response would be. It has none of those qualities of being bigger, better, more inspiring. What would you say? It's a tragedy, but I don't have to get in my car to get a hamburger? You don't want to be put in that position. You really want to usher this city forward. And I think what we need to do is to use this time to plead upon our applicants for them to consider reinventing their approach to the site. I know they can build a Wendy's here, but do we really have to? I'm sure this is a very competent, talented team, well-meaning. I bet you could probably come up with another usage for that site that will be welcome in this community, that will not be demeaning to the neighborhood, that will not put our council on the spot, and that we can really rise to a higher level, as we've been trying to do. And I think we are doing that. And council, I really hope that you support the decision of the Board of Adjustment and all of the members of the community and deny this application. Thank you.
And yes, sir.
Good evening. Before I get any further, I would like to thank...
Sir, I apologize. Your name and address for the record?
Oh, yes. My name is Ben Bikaba. I'm a resident who is adjacent to the development. My house is abutting that new development.
Your address, sir?
13350 Northeast 3rd Court. That's the one immediately adjacent to the development. And daily I receive pouring of exhaust from the current laundromat into my yard. Even with the door closed, I can hear the noise. But that's beside the point. I would like to thank Councilwoman Estime Irvin for encouraging a resident to meet with the developer. And it is in that spirit that 2 weeks ago we met with the developer and his team. And the very distinguished Mr. Rombook was there. And I posed the question. I said, has any one of you ever driven onto 3rd Court to just see for yourself? And I encouraged them to make the drive, that way they could see what we fear. To date, I haven't heard that any of the team members have gone through 3rd Court and driven during hours where there could be traffic. So that tells me something. If they really wanted to mitigate the problem, they would take that into consideration. It is in that spirit that I went to the meeting that was suggested by our councilwoman. And then I got to thinking, wait a minute, the distinguished gentleman, Mr. Book, from what I've heard, works for us in Tallahassee. It works for you, it works for me, it works for you. Will somebody please correct me if I'm wrong? Then here in Miami, he's working against our interests. I said, so I'm paying him to go to Tallahassee and then come here and work against me? No, please. Take that into consideration too, because this is not pay out in your time. And one other thing I would like to say in that regard, that traffic is really the most important item we have on the agenda here. Because to just remove the right to make a right turn going north on 3rd Court is a call for disaster. And you heard it here. So I urge you to make the right decision, and I'm sure our distinguished mayor, whom I need to congratulate too, who just been re-elected with a sizable margin, will want to be, as his name implies, bien aimé by the people of the third court. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And we have Jerry B. Proctor. Oh, that's you. And okay, thank you very much. We are closing public hearing on the item. Do we have cross-examination by city staff? No? No? Okay. Now, cross-examination by the applicant?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have any direct cross-examination, but I would like to offer rebuttal with the permission of the mayor and the commission. Mr. Mayor and members of the
Give me a
commission.
second.
One second.
Let me consult.
Is the council going to cross-examine anyone?
Are we going to? No? Are we going
Okay,
to?
then you can go to the next step.
I can go to the next step. Okay.
To question staff, please.
Give me a second.
So-
Madam Chair.
Are you gonna cross-examine staff, or you're just gonna ask questions? You can
Just
leave
ask
that, if you're gonna
questions.
leave it, if it's just gonna be discussions, you can leave it to when you all.
Okay.
go over it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. And now we're on the dais. No. Oh, you're not done yet.
He gets to rebut.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I put a picture up of the proposed building. I hope that, and this has been part of the record from the beginning, I hope that you don't find it disgusting. I know most of the neighbors don't feel that way, but we had one comment in that regard. This is an attractive building. It looks a little different than the old Wendy's. It has lots of window treatments and varying patterns. It's a small building, but an attractive building. Mr. Mayor, just to touch on a couple of specifics, and I'm not going to go too long. Traffic on Third Court, which, as Ms. Makabe mentioned, was part of the discussion at the Board of Adjustment. The professional studies do not support her assertion of an unsafe condition at that intersection. They have studied the intersection, indeed all of 135th up and down for several miles in each direction, and their findings do not support that assertion. They have supported and approved the removal of the right turn only sign. Location of parking, one of the speakers, and I didn't get her name, said the location of our parking was inadequate or insufficient. The location of our parking is located along the periphery, separated by from our neighbors by landscaping, allows movement of the drive-through, clear visibility, and it's really common for a restaurant that has drive-through capability. The drive-through has a very large area of stacking in case of congestion. The assertion that we're going to have cars, as perhaps other drive-throughs have in the city, that are going to be backed out into the public right-of-way is simply not supported by our plans and by the review by your professional staff. There is adequate area within the property before you even get to the first drive-through space, or the 10th drive-through space, if you want to call it that, if there is a backup. The backup, or the queuing area, occurs, and I'll turn back to our site plan. Entire area along the north side of the building within the private property is the area to come in to the property off of 135th, the area to access the drive-through. So you have a very large area within the property for these movements to occur and to coexist so that people that want to park can park, people that want to use the drive-through can use the drive-through. Mr. Mayor, these can be tough decisions for a board, but I stand here before you respectfully suggesting that there is no substantial competent evidence to support the decision made by the Board of Adjustment. And we believe it should be reversed. It should be reversed on the grounds in your code. And I'll get to those briefly. Should be reversed because we believe we can, and the evidence shows and your staff report shows, that we can maintain and coexist on the site with our drive-through traffic as well as our parking vehicles, that we have adequate access on both 3rd Court and 135th, that the vast majority of those vehicles will exit and enter on 135th. There's not, by any measure of study that's been done by your department, by the state, or by anyone else, there's not any measure that shows a tremendous or significant amount of traffic coming down 3rd Court. Obviously, 3rd Court is where many of the neighbors live, and we hope that they will obviously use 3rd Court and can visit this property, be it for Family Dollar or Wendy's or something else. But there's no evidence in any study that indicates that there's going to be a tremendous convergence or confluence of traffic coming through the residential area. Wendy's is a convenience. There is another Wendy's in the city, and there are many other Wendy's in North Miami-Dade County. The people that are coming to Wendy's largely are in the community already. They may or may not live in the immediate community. They may be going to work, they may be going to school, or coming home from work or school using 135th. And they have the convenience of stopping at a restaurant if they want. If they don't like Wendy's, or they don't have time to stop, or whatever, that's fine too. This is a convenience. This is why it's permitted in your code. You have a C1 district. You have a convenience use. It is well spaced from our neighbors. It is attractive, and it complies with the standards of your code, which I've been through earlier. With that, Mr. Mayor, we appreciate your support. We believe the decision should be reversed, and we're happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Public hearing is now closed, now on the dais, and since it's a project in District 3, do you want to go first, Madam?
Yes, please. Yes, Tanya Sejour. Wilson, Tanya Wilson, I'm sorry. I forgot about that. Yes, thank you so much. I have a question in terms of parking. Has the applicant met the parking requirement?
Because based on the criteria of the code, 18 spaces are required, and 18 spaces is what the applicant is proposing.
And the 18 spaces in the entire
That's
parking?
just for the use that's specific to the Wendy's.
So there are more parking than 18 spaces in the
Correct.
in the
Outside
area?
of the perimeter of the Wendy's space, there's additional parking to support the other uses. Where Wendy's is concerned, they have sufficient parking to support the use.
Okay. I also have a question in terms of loading and unloading, the trucks unloading. Are there restrictions on times when they should unload? Is there provision for that? Where would they be unloading and?
So there's no restriction in terms of the time for the loading. I have our zoning manager here, so he can speak to you about the specific
Please.
locations or details regarding loading. So I'll bring Derek Cook forward, who
Yes,
did the
please.
actual review and brought the item before the Board of Adjustment, so he can speak to the loading.
Okay.
Good evening, Council. This is Derek Cook, the zoning manager. As is stated, if you're looking at the site plan where they have the proposed loading, they haven't gone through the development review committee site plan review yet. That has been deferred right now, but it has been submitted to our traffic study, and they have given comments about the site plan, and they had no mention of any concerns with the loading of the location of the loading and unloading of the area. If you wish to have a condition on certain times that they could be there, you can institute that if you so choose to do so. As it stands right now, it seems to be enough room for them to load and still provide circulation in the parking lot.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Wilson, how is congestion measured? How is that measured?
So each roadway is given a level of service scoring. Where Northeast 135th Street is concerned, our traffic engineer has confirmed that it's a level of service D. You usually have a range of, say, from A to F in terms of the volume of traffic that is generated on a roadway. So F being the worst and A being the best. So the roadway considered a D means that it's not congested to the point that it's at a standstill or it's completely clogged without the opportunity for free-flowing traffic. So that was a part of the review when staff looked at the volume of the roadway, if it was satisfactory to be able to take trips from the site. And it was determined that the roadway could accommodate the additional traffic trips that were generated from the Wendy's site.
When you say can accommodate, is there a number that's associated with that?
Yeah, so it looks at traffic trips in terms of the volume. So it's anticipated that the volume of cars that are leaving or entering the site, that the roadway has sufficient capacity to be able to take the volume of cars that are coming in and out of the site.
Mr. Jerry, I'm sorry? Mr. Proctor, do you know how much more volume is anticipated on a daily basis? Absolutely.
Yeah, your engineer can let you know.
Natalia Leclerc with McMahon Associates. The daily trip generation of the new trips is 1,100 daily trips. And then
What is it now without the?
this, what we did was just for the proposed, but the 1,100 number I'm giving you is for the entire site. The Wendy's specifically on a daily basis is an additional 542 daily trips, and in the peak hour, it is 51 a.m. peak hour trips. Now this is in and out, so combined. And in the PM peak hour, which are the two peak hours, it's 29 net new trips.
Okay. And with all of this information, Ms. Wilson, the applicant has met what our code allows for special variance.
For the
Is that
special
correct?
exception, correct.
Correction,
They met
okay.
the criteria of the code. I also want to add in terms of the traffic concurrency itself, because the city is TCA exempt, traffic concurrency cannot be a basis for denial for an item. So I want to put that on the record. It's a part of state statutes. North Miami has that designation. So in terms of mitigation and other alternatives, that can be a condition placed on the project. But at no point can you have a denial of a project that's TCA exempt.
And the applicant has already been approved to build the Wendy's. That's already
So
approved.
they haven't been approved. The site plan itself, as Mr. Cook mentioned, is pending on the DRC. The first application filed, of course, was a special exception request for the drive-through. Once the determination has been made as to whether or not the applicant will be able to move forward with building the drive-through, then they could proceed through DRC with a final site plan review.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Carol?
While you're up, Ms. Wilson, a couple questions on the site plan. So, from the 3rd Avenue entrance, we discussed, so you cannot get to the drive-through I mean, you can go through the third court entrance, but you would have to go up to the front of Wendy's, go around and get into the queue. You couldn't just get into the Wendy's.
No, there's no way to
I mean,
cut
the
through.
drive-through.
I'm not looking at this, but I kind of have it in my head. In terms of the configuration of the drive-through itself, you'd have to enter from the north portion of the property, that ingress-egress area where you have 135th Street and the Wendy's site itself. You can't cut through from the south or from the east to get into the drive-through lane itself.
Okay, and when you exit the Wendy's, you're facing north. You're facing 135th Street.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you exit? Can you get out third court?
So there are two ingress and egress points.
Mhm.
There's one on northeast 135th Street into the site, and there's also one on Third Court. So there are two ways to get in and out
So to
of
get-
the site itself.
But to get to third court, you're gonna have to go out across, and you're gonna have to go and do a circle around Wendy's to go back out third court.
So
Or else go in front of it and go out 135th Street.
If I understand your question, when you're coming out of Third Court, you could actually turn right and head south,
But you have,
or
but to
turn
get
left
to
and
third
head north.
court, you can't just make a U-turn where you are. You have to go north, go in front of Wendy's, come back down, and then go out.
Correct.
So you don't just.
Correct. If
zip
you're
out.
referring to the drive-through itself. Correct.
Last question for you. You have a shopping center site, C1, and how, for that, I'm sorry to do this to you right now, but based on the size of that shopping center, how many square feet of commercial are allowed?
Ooh, it's really based on lot coverage. So there's a 80% lot coverage that's allowed on the site. The site is about 2 acres in size. And then you have 20% that's allowed for open space. So when we do our calculations, we have to make sure that they've not exceeded that 80% and that there's sufficient provision for the green space, open space on the site. Based on staff's review, they do meet that requirement.
Okay. I think that's my questions. I have a couple other things to say. Maybe this goes through the mayor to the attorney, Mr. Attorney.
You can go.
Are we ready for that, or?
Yes, go
Okay,
ahead.
so, up until yesterday, I thought we were coming up here and we were voting to approve or not approve a drive-through. Wendy's is already approved, they have the right to build it. I thought the board, the Board of Adjustment heard whether there could be a drive-through, not a Wendy's, but a drive-through. So that's what the board voted on. Again, up till yesterday, I thought we were going to come up here and decide whether we should allow a drive-through or not. From direction of my attorney and a discussion yesterday in a memo, we are not conducting a review and we are not rehearing this. And what we're up here today is to reverse, amend, modify, or amend or rehear the decision of the Board of Adjustment. And we have to determine whether adequate procedural due process was given, whether essential requirements of law were provided, and the board based its decision upon substantial complete evidence. We're not here to decide drive-through or not. We're here to decide whether the board used the proper decision-making process. I've asked for a little help in exactly what substantial competent evidence is. And through land regulation article that I've read with case law, competent substantial evidence has to be factually based and not unsupported generalized statements. It has to be more than surmise, conjecture, speculation. It must be based on more than something of mere probabilities, guesses, whims, or caprices. They can't make their decisions on hypotheticals or fear or, let's see, another statement. It doesn't matter if the room is full of people offering their views. If their views do not rise to the level of competent substantial evidence, their testimony should have no effect. And I've got more, I'm not gonna read it. I've got a case law from Jesus Fellowship versus Miami-Dade County. Lay witnesses' speculation about potential traffic problems, light and noise pollution, and general unfavorable impacts of a proposed land use are not considered competent substantial evidence. Similarly, lay witnesses' opinions that a proposed land use will devalue homes in the area are insufficient to support a finding that this will devalue homes. My concern is we have to decide, and the appeal that is here in front of us tonight, the appeal says that the decision was not based, the Board of Adjustment decision was not based on substantial competent evidence. And I'm thinking that there's not. The Board of Adjustment took a 5-0 vote. They said there was one of the reasons was there was inadequate parking. Well, parking's not a requirement for a drive-through. And I went back and watched the Board of Adjustment. And everybody's complaining about parking. But if you're driving in a circle, if you're driving, you're not parking.
Please, thank you.
So how
Please.
is there a parking situation? How do you not have enough parking if the people coming are not parking? There's the other reasons was access. The access to the queue is well away from the entrance on 135th Street. And this is what we're looking at. I don't see anything really substantial, complete, making this decision. I know a lot of people don't want a Wendy's. It's not about the Wendy's. You're going to have a business. I don't think you can tell people, we're not up here to tell a business if they have the right to be there that we want it better. We already did that on this property, and I don't think the outcome was good, and now it's even worse. But that's not why we're here.
Please, sir.
But we're not here. It's not up to us to tell a business, we don't like you, you're not good enough, you're not healthy enough, and there's already trash in our yards, we don't want more trash. And I'm by the letter of the law and instruction by my attorney, I'm not here to vote on the drive-through. I'm here to vote on a decision made by the board, and I don't think there was substantial competent evidence.
Thank you very much.
Not popular, but
Please, where is the police department? Please, can you restore order for us in the room, please? Thank you very much. Councilman Galvin.
No questions.
No question. Councilman Alex Station.
No question.
Thank you very much. And now, the motion before us is motion to reverse the decision of the Board of Adjustment and by the applicants, right?
Someone needs to make that motion.
Yeah, I know, but that's what it is. I just want to clarify that, right?
Yes, either reverse or
Yeah, okay.
sustain.
Can I hear a motion on,
make a motion to reverse it.
Second.
do we have any question, any discussion? No? Madam Clerk?
Okay. I have a motion made by Vice Mayor Keys to approve the item at tab H. The motion was seconded by Councilman Desame. Councilman Desame, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Bieneme, how do you vote?
Yes.
Guys, come on.
Please.
Vice Mayor Keys, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilman Galvin, how do you vote?
No.
Councilwoman Estime Irvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
The item passes with a 4-0 vote.
Thank you very much.
4 to
And
1
now,
vote. 4 to 1
4-1,
vote.
excuse
4-1.
me, 4-1. I apologize.
And we're going to be back and make sure that all of you follow all the rules. We're going to send lawyers to find out how clean you all are. Because it's unfair.
please, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Professional. Hearsay.
Citizen Forum. Please.
Jim Garrett, 11610 Northeast.
Citizen
North-
Forum, it's, okay. go ahead.
Jim Garrett, 11610 North Bayshore Drive, Unit 1A, North Miami, Florida, 33181. Go Pioneers. Democracy is not pretty. And we just saw it. The budget process was not pretty. Let's improve it. Look at other cities and let's benchmark our performance against them. Let's try to be better than what we had last week. Let's look at Coconut Creek and how they do their budget process. They have 3 workshops. The city that I'm going to probably have to move to, because I have to be by my investment, is North Palm Beach. The village of North Palm Beach. They have a budget committee, a citizen group of people who come together, 9 of them. And it's a budget committee. It's one of the major committees, just like Planning Commission. Second, we need to, this year, Scott, we got the revenue side of the budget. Thank you. But we need to classify our categories right. This thing was a mess. And we need to go with 3 options. In my budget process, I've been doing budgets since 1992 when I was at the University of Miami as assistant director of financial aid. You have a gold, silver, and a bronze edition. On the thank yous, Mary, you roll back the garbage from a 1.1 to 500,000. Alex, the red light cameras, and you brought up the salaries. Mayor, that was a smart move about the 7 to 7.5%. Carol, you reduced the special events and contingency fund, and I know you try to get the council salaries reasonable. And Scott, you brought the historic perspective of this place. You're the only one that's been up there for 20 years. You've seen them all, the revolving doors and everything. I mean, you have to have that. We have to. You know that.
There's got to be one cranky old guy in the group.
All right. Joe is looking down on you on heaven, okay? We need to go to an electronic format. If you're doing revisions, at least we can see them on. Most of us have this now. We have this. We have Facebook. Put it on there. I do want to apologize. Last week I made a comment about the CRA. I was enlightened. It is allowable, the 2.5 affordable housing. Someone enlightened me. The stadium. I'm glad to see Ron here tonight. I'm glad he's all. There's a risk management threat out. Let me tell you this. I drove by the other night, and it's open, and there were people out there. You don't know what they want. You don't know what they were doing at that hour. Let's just say it was on the 50-yard line. The stadium is open. The other day I went by, I saw little kids running and around the stands that we're going to put up. The place is not secure. We're going to have an accident out there. When are we going to get the stands? We lost that stadium in 2017. It's been 3 years. We won 2 districts in 17. Okay, thank you.
Richard Anise, 13030 Northeast 10th Avenue. My former address was 13500 Northeast 3rd Court. And I used to look at all those trees that got cut and then grew back, and political signs when there was an election. And I'll just make, it's safe now. I was going to say get up, but I would have been the only one in favor of rescinding that judgment, and I probably would have got stoned while everybody else was in here. So I feel safe that they all left. Carol said it indirectly. They didn't want a Walmart, which would have been one store, deep in the lot, and plenty of parking, and they wouldn't have been dealing with a laundromat that's going to be open probably 24 hours eventually, another dollar store, which we don't need, and there's 2 more spaces. You're going to have a daycare, and you're probably going to end up with a beauty supply and God knows what else. I'm sorry, but you made the right decision. Okay. I'm really up here to talk about trees. I thought Asplund was bad, but Lewis is worse. Or they've gotten as bad as Asplund used to be. Somebody needs to drive down 10th Avenue from 125th to 135th and look at the west side of the road where we have electric lines, power lines and shared poles for Comcast and AT&T.
and look at the trees that have been V'd and half cut and destroyed. They need to take them all out and put stuff that only grows 6 feet tall. I don't know who planned putting all those trees on the sides of the road where we have power lines. It doesn't work. When these guys come around, they come around every year. I fight them all the time. I got them not to touch the slow oak that was replaced after Andrew, and they left it alone. But the other day they got me Sunday morning or something when I hadn't even gotten up yet, and they were out there cutting the one in front, the black olive in front of the house, and it's like half gone now. If you don't get them out there to stop, they say that you got to be 6 feet from a power line and 12 feet from a secondary line, or 12 the other way around. But I tell them, you're coming back every year. Why you're cutting them like you're going to, be here in 3 years, and you're coming back every year and cutting them again. We need to have somebody look at those trees and look how ugly it is on the west side of the road, and I'm sure I'm not the only avenue that has that. We need to do something about taking them out because they're going to die anyway.
Claudia Pasmino, 13504 Northeast 23rd Place. Once again, what I originally was going to speak about, I'm going to have to push it aside. I'm disappointed with the outcome. I am wearing red. I was against Wendy's, even though I do not reside in that area. These are my neighbors. These are my friends. We're a community, but I see them as brothers and sisters, so I'm disappointed in the outcome. I'm sad for them, and at the same time, I'm upset because instead of the community coming together, I see we're separating, and like I said, all of you up in the dais, I know you individually have wonderful conversations outside of this room, and see you as individuals who do care about the community, who do care about quality of life, but I don't know what happens when you guys get together. It's like a disconnect between the residents and you guys. But outside, or in the past, outside, we were all joking around, hanging out, talking about dogs, parks. So I don't know what's going on. So I do see like it's splitting apart, and I'm disappointed in that. That being said, again, what I originally wanted to speak about, maybe I'll get to it next time. I do want to thank the Hispanic Heritage Committee. I did not know there was going to be something going on here, so I'm disappointed I didn't know about it. But when I got off the elevators, it was nice to see the flag from every country. Flag from my mom's country, my dad's country. There was somebody else here that it's like, oh, they have a flag from my country, because it's usually a Mexican flag or something like that, the dominant Latin country. So it was nice. So I want to give props to the Hispanic Heritage Committee for thinking of that. And you guys just, come on, think about the community. We're all one, so disappointed, but, that's the outcome.
Thank you very much.
Howard Tonkin, 12600 Griffin Boulevard. Two things. The FDOT meeting, I think, was really disappointing in their overall plans of what they have intended for our downtown area. And it seems like they want to go from this street to this street, around this street, cut this curb. And it just seems like a hodgepodge of a hot mess of how to try and navigate our downtown. And it won't make our downtown better. Our downtown already looks like a war zone half the time because of all the accidents. And I really would like to just throw this little idea out of a bridge over Dixie Highway. It would solve so many problems in our downtown. And the FDOT guys were like, well, that would be really expensive. But as Mayor Bieneme said the other night, he drives on 95 and sees other cities with nice treatments of 95. And then you get to North Miami and it's just not taken care of. And considering we're a city of 10 square miles, that's the fastest growing city in America right now, I believe, or South Florida, big problems like climate change and rising sea level require big solutions. And I think instead of building fences, we should be considering building bridges. That would be a really important thing in our city. And I think that if you looked at the idea of a bridge over Dixie Highway, it could really revitalize Dixie Highway, fix the traffic on 6th Avenue, Griffin Boulevard, make downtown much more pleasant. It could really work. The other thing, Mary's meeting was great the other night, and we all learned a lot of really cool things. It was a really nice, interesting, different meeting. But one of the things we learned that a lot of the residents really don't like is that it's illegal to walk a dog on a leash in a park in North Miami. And tons of people do this all the time. We had no idea. And so we really think that this is one of these antiquated, outdated laws that you all need to really think. Like, one of the pleasures in life is like throw a towel on the beach, go to a cafe for brunch, walk the dog in the park. And it's like North Miami, it's illegal to walk a dog in the park, even though everybody does it. So the police have mentioned, well, maybe we just don't enforce that. But, like with the BIOS walls, if we could have modern laws to accommodate what people are doing anyway and improve our quality of life. Because now we don't feel comfortable walking the dog in the park because now we heard it's illegal, but everybody does it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
William Prevotel, 11950 North Bay Shore Drive. I find the last vote disturbing, to say the least. And I'd like to draw attention to Councilwoman Carol Keyes, who is a lawyer, and I am not. But I find it strange that if this was a special exception, am I correct? It was a special exception, that they were not entitled to it in the first place. Yet you're going to manipulate, you're going to mangle your interpretation, and quite frankly, as lamely as it was, to make it so that they're owed that. And you're going to, screw all the people that were here and that neighborhood, which isn't even your district. And you're going to come down on those people, and you're going to influence the rest of the council. And just like so many other...
Please, sir, please.
I have to object.
And nobody...
I'm so sorry, I have to object.
I'm at 2 minutes. Okay. And like so many other times in the past, when there's been something that has been so analyzed and whatever, only to draw the wrong conclusion. And that's happened time and time again. And that's how we have, like a Costco in the middle of, Solomia and whatever. Now everybody in the new houses can now look down onto the roof of Costco and the parking lot and the parking garage and all the rest of the disaster that is up there. As I've said before, our fountain of disappointment. And you just continue to do that. And throughout the city, everybody knows, what the hell are you doing? How do you always draw the wrong conclusion? Anyway, I hope we have better results with our the 5 o'clock announcement earlier today, and I hope our city is on the right track. Unlike the calendar that says 1,000 days without an accident, we might be back down to 0 again. Thank you.
Thank you. Public hearing is now closed on the dais. Do you have any reports, any comments?
No, I don't think so. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilwoman.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone that really helped our town hall meeting to be really successful. So I'd like to really thank our chief and his whole staff, code enforcement, finance office, Miguel. I know I'm missing a couple of offices right now, or department, I'm sorry, parks. Parks and Recreation, thank you, and all the staff. I'm sorry, who else did I miss? Public Works, oh my God, where's Whistler? Thank you, thank you so much. And everyone else that really participated, and I want to thank the residents that came out. I was very happy to see, I'd like to see more resident come out, so I thank you for that. Again, like I mentioned during the town hall, our doors are open. We can be contacted via email, or you can contact us through 305-788-2592. Also, I would like to take out the time to also talk to everyone in the room and whoever's watching. As elected officials, and I know I've been here the least amount, but I can assure you, at least for me, let me speak for myself, that I know that we try our very best to do what is right for the residents and everyone else that is a part of our community. And there are times that we're going to make decisions that you're not going to agree, but that doesn't mean that we don't have your best interests at heart. As a matter of fact, tonight was a very hard decision for me to make, but based on the law, based on the information that I had, this is the route that I had to go. So I am still here to continue to serve our resident. We're not always going to agree, but I can honestly tell you that I'm working hard every day to make District 3 and all of North Miami a better place to work, live, and play. So thank you for your time, and that's all that I have to say for this evening.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor, when this last item came forward a couple weeks ago, I had some questions, and I called staff and I asked my questions, and I was going to say a couple of words before that, but just to whoever would assume that another person on this dais making a vote would influence personally me, you sadly mistaken. But anyhow, I have two of the most busiest drive-through in my district, and they buffer a residential area. That's the Burger King on 127th, and that's the Polo Tropical on 119. And well, that's the other part.
Wendy's on
It's less than 50 feet from a residential area. And I mean, the neighbor could just see what's happening. So, and I also went by the Wendy site that was proposed, and also a Wendy that is on 125th and 7th. First of all, the traffic that they were talking about compared to those two, it was not at Wendy's. But needless to say, when we are presenting certain information and we ask what is the law, some factual base, leadership is about what's right. And everybody think they're right. We have over 60-something thousand residents. If we really wanted to poll to see, then we could have done that. A room of people, of residents, they could be my own residents, and I've said that at town hall meetings. I may not agree with them. I will respect them. But please do not think that we are here to make decisions based on a room of folks or people with signs, whatever the case is. Everybody's entitled and respect. It's a due process, and I think Mr. Garrett said it. Democracy is not fun. It's not that we agreed on some stuff. And a lot of folks who come here have called me, and I've met with them on certain projects that I may think that's okay, but other people around them may not think it's okay. So before we cast judgment, please know what you're talking about. I totally agree with the decision because that was the correct decision based on the information. But moving forward, well, I won't call no name, Mr. Mayor, but again, thank you, and I hope everyone have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Sure, I just want to take a moment to send our city's sympathies to the family of Mary Tangway. You might know her as the owner of Mary's Pound, a pet store on 132nd and Dixie. She passed away after a valiant battle with cancer.
lady?
Yeah, Mary passed away about 10 days ago, I think. I have not heard about any services or anything. I think the family's just waiting. But not only did Mary own one of the most beloved stores in the city, she participated in our Citizens Police Academy. She was active at the Chamber of Commerce. She was really, really somebody who I know we'll all miss. So our sympathies to Mary and her family.
Thank you, Scott. Let me just say something. I meant to do that, but I just didn't give a report. But also, we lost another very long-time resident, Rachel Reeves, also passed this past week. So our condolences to her family also. She lived in my district for almost 40 years. So thank you for reminding me.
Thank you very much. And Madam Clerk, you have any report? You.
Wouldn't be
All
asking.
right. Well, happy National Voter Registration Day. We're going to do board appointments for the Parks and Rec and also Charter Board. Well, we'll do the Charter Board. That's why I was asking if you have a report or not.
No, I don't have a
Okay.
report. I
Just
just
wanna
want
make
to.
sure. Well, just making sure.
And I have an appointment that I could make for Planning Commission. Could I do that tonight as well?
Can I just do the Charter Board tonight? Because that's what we need to just meet
Yeah,
quorum for
she's going to
that.
do all the appointments.
I'm not going to do all the appointments tonight. I'm going to do Charter
Excuse
Board.
me, please, please give me a second. Which appointment are we going to make?
Charter Board.
And Councilwoman Stegel one. Oh, sorry, sorry. My estimate even want to make an appointment tonight. And what? No, let her finish with the
right.
Charter Board, and then after that you will make your appointment. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Okay, so my understanding, based on the information I have available to me right now, Councilwoman Estime Irvin wants to reappoint Mike McDermott, is that correct? For the Charter
The Charter
Board.
Board.
That's correct.
Not reappoint, she wanna appoint.
Right. I will appoint Mike McDermott on the charter board. That's
He was
fine.
appointed by someone else.
Okay. Councilman Galvin would like to reappoint Kenneth Each.
That is correct.
Councilwoman Keys is current with her appointment, who is Mr. Bapashan. Mayor
Emmanuel
Bien-Aimé.
Gentil.
Okay. So you're reappointing him?
Yes.
And Councilman Desilme, you will be reappointing Ms. Rosalind Phillip? Philippe? Okay. The at-large appointments are Jeff Mondesir and Lumana Joseph.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
I'll motion that we renominate those two as the at-large.
Second.
Okay. So I have a motion to renominate Mr. Jeff Mondesir and, let's see, Ms.
Those
Lumana
appointments,
to
those
appoint,
seven,
excuse
yeah.
me, Jeff Mondesir and Lumana Joseph to the Charter Board. And a second by Councilwoman Estime Irvin.
Correct.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
You done with that?
Yes.
Okay, Councilwoman, what
Yeah.
appointment you would like to
So,
make?
for the planning commission, is the board meeting anytime soon? Does anyone know?
Tanya,
Madam Clerk, is there a particular reason you just wanted to just wait to do it all at once,
Can-
or?
Madam,
Yes, please.
Councilwoman Maïstime, I'm the chair of the board, okay? You said you were gonna make an appointment. Are you still gonna make that appointment?
Yes, if I can make an appointment to the planning commission board, I would like to appoint Bernadette Pierre.
You have an application for that?
There is an application, sir.
Thank you very much.
Second.
And second,
Okay, so
Bernadette Toussaint Pierre to be appointed on the planning commission.
So we have a motion made by Councilwoman Estime Irvin and seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So that passes 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor.
You have an appointment. Yes, go ahead.
Is that board already filled, or, Madam Clerk?
I'm going to check for you right now.
If we had it.
So I don't believe I actually came with the full list because we were prepared to do the charter board. So if you would like, I can go downstairs and pull up.
I think Kevin Seidfried was my appointee, and I wanted to just make sure that that's what we have whenever we do it. It doesn't have to be tonight,
Okay.
but whenever.
You wanna keep the same person?
Yeah, and then, do I have one or two?
Let me check.
One? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, the at-large, because Nikita Williams, I know.
You have one, right?
Yes, whenever
Okay.
we doing
What's
it.
the
we
name?
put
You wanna do it
Kevin
now or you wanna
Seid-
keep it for?
I don't know, Madam.
Do we
Clerk-
have quorum and Tanya for the planning commission right now?
The planning commission won't be meeting in October.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Ok-
their next meeting is November.
Okay.
But for the Board of Adjustment, we don't have quorum, and the developers have been waiting for 2 months.
Board
of
That one
Adjustment.
has an urgency.
Okay, let's do that
It's-
now.
Okay.
Is Rosalind Pierre,
Rosalind
excuse me,
Philippe or
Rosalind
Pierre?
Philippe, excuse me, has she been reappointed,
On what board?
Board of Adjustment?
Let me see.
So she's currently expired.
I'd like to appoint her at large.
Okay.
Well, okay. What I'll do is I'll go through what we have currently, and then everyone will decide what they'd like to do.
Yes.
So we have a vacant space with Mayor Bien-Aimé. Ms. Laura Hill, her term had expired.
Can you appoint Lumana
Do you want me to go through the
Joseph?
whole list?
No.
Or?
Can you appoint
Okay.
Lumana Joseph on the Board of Adjustment?
is that the last one? Where is it?
The Board of Adjustment. You see here?
That's the
The
third.
second,
The second
I
one?
think is the second.
This is crazy.
Can we go through everybody's real quick? Otherwise, we're just gonna be.
Yes,
here
can
for
we-
another
can-
20, 30 minutes.
That was my
Yeah.
question.
Who is, yes,
Yeah,
we're
who
doing the
May I
Board of
continue,
Adjustment.
Mayor?
Yes.
Oh, okay, thanks. So Ms. Laura Hill's term has expired. Ms. Holly Cohen, appointed by Vice Mayor Keys, is still current. Councilman Galvin's appointee, Cassandra Arnold, her term has expired.
I'd like to
Did you want to
reappoint-
reappoint her?
You can, that answer for every single board is yes. Anybody already have on? Yes, I'm reappointing them all. So yes to Ms. Arnold.
Councilman Desome's appointee was Michael McDermott,
But he already been appointed,
and
right?
and his term is expired.
He
So
just
we,
For the Board of
He
Adjustment.
just got, okay, then I'll reappoint him.
okay. Then we had Rosalind Philippe, whose term is also expired, and then 3 vacants.
And appointed by
Hey, Carol, just
Councilwoman
appoint-
Carol Keys.
Yeah.
Well, so each member of the city council shall nominate 1 person, 2 additional at-large members, and 2 additional at-large alternate members.
You know,
So there was a motion to appoint her.
yeah, and Lumana Joseph.
And Michael McDermott.
And
I'm lost as can be right now. May I ask, Mr. Mayor, that the clerk read each person and we vote on them individually? 'Cause
That's
otherwise
no
it's-
problem. I have a motion to, do I have a motion to appoint Lumana Joseph?
As who's?
Or
appointed?
as
I
Mayor
make
Bieneme, so.
I'll second the mayor's motion.
So we have a motion to appoint Lumana Joseph, made by Mayor Bieneme, seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So she is appointed with a 5-0 vote. Let's see. I have a motion to reappoint Cassandra Arnold, made by Councilman Galvin. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilwoman Estime Irvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So she is, Ms. Cassandra Arnold is reappointed with a 5-0 vote. We have a motion made by Councilman Desilme to reappoint Mr. Michael McDermott,
Second.
seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Mr. Michael McDermott is reappointed with a 5-0 vote.
Okay.
How long is the term?
The term shall be coterminous with the appointing elected
So 4
official's term
years?
of office.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, so 4 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
But if
So
you
let me
wanted-
just, so I will,
That's
let me
what I-
just
yeah.
you could
finish
withdraw
with the
them if you-
term.
At any point.
All right, I'm just
Okay.
gonna finish with the term because I wasn't done. Shall be coterminous with appointing elected officials' term of office. Board members appointed by the city council as a whole shall be coterminous with the mayor's term of office.
Okay.
Okay. And you have Howard on the Board of Adjustment appointed by Magistime Irvin.
Can I
Now
make-
the board is complete, right? No?
No, can I make an at-large?
Yes,
Yeah,
go
sure.
ahead.
Or you'd be making an at-large
Yeah,
motion.
I saw the application for Nikila Williams.
Okay.
Nikisha, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I'll second that motion as an at-large appointee.
All right, we have a motion made by Councilman Desilme to appoint Ms. Nikisha Williams as an at-large appointee, and seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ms. Nikisha Williams is appointed as an at-large appointee with a 5-0 vote. And now, I believe,
We can do the rest
I
after,
mean, we have
since
quorum,
we have
right?
quorum, yeah, we have
Is that-
6 people.
no, still?
Yes.
Well, he's
We
shaking
have
his head
quorum.
behind you,
We
so I don't
can
know.
come up with the other one next week.
Quorum is 5.
We
So
have
if we have
6.
5, then we're good.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much.
Did we do Rosalind?
Yes. We did Roslyn, right?
No,
No,
Nikki
no,
was
no,
at-large.
no. Madam Clerk, we have Roslyn appointed by
At-large.
Carol, right? No, no. That was your appointment,
Holly was
no?
your. Holly was
Holly's
your-
my appointment.
Oh,
I-
Holly's your
I asked
appointment.
to
I'll
appoint
second Rosalind Philippe as
At-
an
at
at-large.
large.
Yes.
All right, so we have a motion made by Councilwoman Keys to reappoint Rosalind Philippe as an at-large appointee, seconded by Councilman Galvin. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So Ms. Rosalind Philippe is reappointed with a 5-0 vote.
Thank you very much. Do you have any more report, Madam Clerk?
Just a quick thank you to the chief and the police department for their quick and swift action for an elderly woman yesterday. Thanks, chief. You know, I was coming out of a restaurant and I saw her and she was just like walking very closely to traffic, and she wouldn't let me help her onto the sidewalk, so I made the call, and they realized that she probably would have never found her way home because she didn't even remember how to get home. And it was very late at night. It was pretty dark, so thank you so much for your swift action. And that is all.
Thank you very much, City Manager.
No report, sir.
City Attorney.
No report, sir. Thank you.
Move to adjourn.
Second. Thank you very
All
much
in
and good
favor?
night.